Holy crap.
People persist in doubting the evidence.
Don't run and hide. Don't be afraid. Don't turn away any longer. The truth will set you free. You're listening to Jimmy Church Fade to Black on the Dark Matter Radio Network.
We're turning all of our antennas towards Jimmy Church on Dark Matter Radio.
And now, your host, the captain of conspiracy, the prince of paranormal. This ain't your daddy's radio network show. This is Jimmy Church Fade to Black.
What's up? Bring it down. Fade to Black. All right, how you doing? Yeah. Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. How's everybody tonight? Hither and thither, to and fro. North and south, east and west, all across this great land of ours, all around the world. Our Australian friends, Europe, UK. Today's Thursday, July 10th. We are 178 days into the new year, live from the JP Motorsports Studios right here in sunny, roasting hot, baking Burbank, California. For KJCR and the Dark Matter Radio Network, I am your host, your humble host, Jimmy Church. How you doing tonight? Everybody good? Lou's in the house, JD's in the house, Leslie's in the house, Eugene's in the house. Dale just popped in. TweetDeck is on fire. Let's do this. Let's get this one cracking. Big salute to the proud men and women in uniform all around the world, fighting the good fight, keeping this freedom of speech thing going. And man, that's what this show is about tonight. Mark Weinstein in the house, CEO of Scruples.com, internet pioneer, social media network champion. Going to be with us tonight at the bottom of the hour. We're going to talk about privacy. Well, a lot of different things. But you know what I've been doing on this show for a long time. Internet privacy, it's a big deal. Your email, your smartphone, think about it. All right, let's go. Let's get this one cracking. Our dead guys' birthdays today. Two game changers, man. At least in my life. Two game changers today. Today, Nikola Tesla was born in 1856 and died in 1943. Ripped off, broke, stolen, beaten man in a little apartment in New York City. And his secrets were never found, were they? You know, the one thing about Tesla is, as famous as he is today and everything that he did for us, go try to find something on the internet. There's all kinds of conjecture, but go try to find the real goods. Elusive Nikola Tesla. Unbelievable. And a true game changer in every sense of the word. And go look up that definition. Singer Ronnie James Dio. Born in 1942, died in 2010. And before I get all choked up, this is just a sad day every when it rolls around. Ronnie James Dio. Truly, truly one of the greats. And I will say this about Ronnie. Go pick out a singer somewhere. Pick out some guy that you think is great. Robert Plant. Go find somebody. Rob Halford, some rock and roll legend. Go find that guy and go, dude, who's a real singer? And they're gonna pop off with Ronnie James Dio. He was a game changer. Ronnie, miss you, brother. All right. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Twitter is at JChurchRadio. Hashtag DMRadioNet. Go hang out with everybody. Follow us. Like us. Subscribe. Tonight we're going to have open lines, by the way. I will open them up. You will have questions for Mark. He's a cool guy, too. 323-825-5045 is the call-in number. You can also Skype in Fade to Black 14. And, I'll leave that up to you. Skype is an amazing thing. Tomorrow, Eric Von Daniken, live from Switzerland. What a week. What a week. It's going to be fun tonight. You can email throughout the show. Emails already started to come in. And one just popped in from Ben. Literally, he always does this too. I think what he does is he gets into his computer. It's about 10 till 7. The show's getting ready to kick off. And he's like, okay, I've got to bug Jimmy with something. And here it comes. And there it is. So Ben said today he was checking out the website for the breaking news on Malibu, the images I was talking about last night on the show, and the info, and it wasn't there, and it wasn't on Facebook. What's up? Well, look, we have a lot of info. It's got to be presented correctly. But the bottom line with it is we just have a bunch of imaging that shows a different depth analysis and topography from different agencies around the world. And so, it's got to be worded right, written right, and presented right. But we'll get to it tomorrow, okay? I promise. It's so important with this subject. Actually, before I say what I was about to say, I've got an email I'm going to read from Katie. Rather lengthy. I had to edit. I had to censor. It's if I would have read the whole thing, it would have taken about 45 minutes. But we'll get to that in a second. So anyway, email Jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. You know what to do. You can go over to the contact page and email in confidence if you're a chicken, and you can do that there. Contact in the deserts. Today, I had a brief conversation with Eric Von Daniken earlier today, and he's fired up about coming over to Contact in the Desert, and I just can't wait till tomorrow night. I just cannot wait. I know that it's going to be about as colorful as we need it to be. But Contact in the Desert, go register, enter the contest, come hang out with us, please. Win. It's going to be David Wilcox, Stephen Greer, Von Daniken, Giorgio Tsoukalos. Will he have his hair? That's the question. Will he be there with his Aquanet? Jim Mars, Michael Tellinger, Stanton Friedman. Hopefully he's going to be a show. He's recovering, but hopefully he'll be there. Nick Pope, Jason Martell, Richard Dolan, John Anthony West. Got a phone call this morning from Linda Moulton Howe. 8 a.m. And let me tell you something. If I pick up the phone at 8 a.m., it better be important. And she called today. We're going to have her on the show on the 1st. She wants to back up the date. So I think we might have Linda in here next week. So buckle up for that one. But yeah, I'm telling you, Contact in the Desert is going to be the place to be. It's going to be extraordinary. So come hang out with us, win. And everybody else, Darcy Lund, Thomas Peake, and Sandra Rios, the winners of last week. And the 5 previous winners, we're going to announce some more tomorrow. You're going to come hang out. Come hang out. Jump on the air. Meet some people. The movers and the shakers. It's going to be great. All right? So that is August 8th. Go over to jimmychurchradio.com, register, and win, please. All right? Oh. The TweetDeck, the way TweetDeck works is it's automatic. You don't have to refresh. And I got to tell you, it's almost distracting. Blick, 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 blick. Slow down, peoples. All right. I'll announce some more winners tomorrow. We're doing two separate things. We have one computer-generated drawing. We have another one that's happening off of Facebook. So we will have those for you tomorrow. All right. I received this email from Katie. And this is it. The email itself is really lengthy, but I chopped it down. She kind of dared me to read it. And it wasn't, I would have read it anyway, but I couldn't read it in its entirety. It was just too long. But I think I got the gist of it here, Katie. So forgive me if I missed the message somewhat, but I think I've got it. And this is what she says. She says, I want to talk to you about the integrity of your show, specifically the science in the Malibu base. I love that you brought up the Malibu base every night, and I really enjoy hearing about it. It's really entertaining. However, I feel like there is a distinct difference in when I listen to your show pre-Malibu and post-Malibu base. She goes on to say, pre-Malibu Jimmy, before the whole Malibu base incident, I found your show to be one of the most interesting shows online. Not only did you have a casual friends chatting in your house environment, but you also push back a little on the guests if you wanted to get down to the bottom of something they were saying. I felt that you were an honest truth seeker. Post-Malibu Jimmy. After the article in the Huffington Post by Lee Spiegel, the tone changed a lot on your show from truth seeker to, and I quote here, I need to believe my own truth, end quote. She goes on to say, I don't like people using science for when it proves their point and ignoring the science when it doesn't fit into what they want to believe. That's from Katie. Now, I think I understand. I certainly understand the email. I'm a little confused, though, because the Huffington Post article, that science that is there, was science that I gave to Mr. Spiegel. That was a gift. So remember that, Katie, okay? I tried to show both sides of the story from the word go. And from the first night that we announced it on this show until today, even last night's show, all points are here. And when we are presenting, you have to understand, with all of this is the evidence. And so when we are presenting the Google Earth images, that's Google Earth. That's not from me. That's not an artist rendering. That's not Dale going to town or Jason going to town and creating something. No, everything is unmolested. Okay? And David Schwartz from the USGS, the scientist from the USGS, and his comments, those came from me. And I will always present both sides of the case. She did say one other thing in the letter, which goes without saying, but she said, what if, I want it to be an alien base as much as anyone else, but what if it's natural? Well, what if? What if? Then we found an undersea cave that was probably above water in the last ice age and could have been used by anything. We don't know if what's on those walls or where the cave goes. We don't know. Are you saying that a natural formation has never been used by man before in prehistoric times? We don't know, but we're going to find out, Katie. And I will always present all sides, which includes the new images that we will present tomorrow. And if I have in any way tried to slant this, I'm not going to apologize for that, but I don't think that I have. But if you've perceived it that way, always remember, I've presented both sides of the coin from the word go, from day one. All right? Don't miss a show. It seems to me that maybe you missed a show or two. All right, so that was from Katie. And I was actually looking at Twitter and some of the stuff that was accumulating before the show tonight. And I found it interesting about some of the questions about Onion, the search engine. That's good. That's good. I will get to that, I promise. Flash, NSA, I dig that. I hope Mark has got some insight. But I'm with you on all of that. So I will get to that. There was one other thing that popped up on Twitter. You know what? I'll take a break. I'm going to scan backwards through Twitter, and I will find the other thing that caught my eye. All right. It's going to be a fun show tonight. I really, really am excited about Mark Weinstein. And he's a good guy, straight shooter too. But he is concerned about you, me, and the rest of the world. And he'll tell you exactly what's going on. All right. Tomorrow night, Eric Von Daniken. Next week, John B. Wells in the house. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses, the Thursday edition. Shoot me an email right now to Jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Twitter @JChurchRadio. Don't forget, hashtag DMRadioNet. Go hang out with all the other faders. I'll be back in a minute. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church Fade to Black on the Dark Matter Radio Network.
What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I got to tell you, it was a relief. National Tax Experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. It doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil three-letter. So, seriously, give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444, or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
On the Dark Matter Radio Network.
All right. Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. Sorry, Subversive. I will say base until the cows come home. When we find out something else, then it's something else. That's the way it is. All right. It's called an opinion. You have yours. Oh, man. Okay. Email right now, Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com. Twitter @JChurchRadio. Internet privacy. The internet has changed. It's changed for us all. And it used to be anonymous. Well, at least it felt that way. And for me, and I talk about it on the show all the time, and it's something that I have felt the ebb and flow, and it's gotten away from all of us. It used to be something that was a little bit unregulated. It was free. It was out there for everybody. You could speak. You could post. You could go on forums. You could investigate and read everybody's research papers and jump into different schools and just do cool things. And it's gotten away from us. And Mark Weinstein is somebody that I think all of you, everybody listening to me right now, his stuff that he posts, it's over on Huffington Post, and you can find it in other places too, but Huffington Post. It should be required reading 101 for anybody that has a computer. And it's the different subjects that he covers. And it's not just privacy. It's how our private lives have been given away and what we have to give up for certain freedoms. And with social networks, now he was way before Facebook. And we'll talk about that tonight when he comes on the show. But he digs the social side of things. Now, with social media, you give up your privacy just because it is what it is, and or a certain amount of it. In that, you want to post pictures of, like, you know, what I do on my Facebook page. Every time I have a family gathering or relatives, or I cook out, or I'm putting steaks on the grill, that I share those pictures. So that's my private life, and I share it with people. So that's what I'm talking about. You're giving up something. You want to post that you're at the dentist. Okay, well, you know, nobody needs to know that. But if you feel the need to share that, you do that. I'm shopping. You're taking pictures of food. Whatever. You're at a restaurant. That's what social media is about. And the other side of it is being able to connect with old family and friends that maybe you haven't talked to in years, you've lost contact with. And you're able to do that. Well, that part of it is very, very cool. And that is the allure. That's what attracts us to it. But we've gotten a little away from that, where now it's a tool to invade back to us. Now, before, these are certain things I want to discuss with you privately before I bring on Mark, because these are my concerns. And I talk about it all the time on this show. It's very important to me. The things that I valued in groups like Facebook originally have completely gotten away from us. I used to be able to, and you too, and you've all noticed the changes, where you would, maybe you have 500 friends on Facebook, maybe you have 100, maybe you have 2,000. But 5, 6, 7 years ago, when you posted something, it went to all 100 of your friends, and you could get a discussion going. Whatever you wanted to type it, it's your cats. You wanted to, hey, LeBron sucks. So you post that, and you've got 100 people reacting back. But now you've got 100 friends, and you post something, it goes to 2, 3, 5, 7, and they determine who your friends are. And that ain't right. The business side of Facebook, I get that. They wanted to, they want you to pay for whatever. You got to whip out the company card to get it out there to the masses. That's different. But I'm talking about the reason why you went to Facebook to begin with is your friends. And that's not right. Not right at all. So, what stems from that now? You've got Facebook on your cell phone. You've got social media all over Pinterest, whatever it is, on your cell phone. And that is completely stored and read and monitored what you are doing every step of the way. For somebody like me, when I was a private citizen 5, 6, 7 years ago, and I had my privacy and I wasn't doing a radio show and I wasn't speaking out, I felt different. I felt a little secure online. Now it's a bit different. Now I'm public, semi-public, public, whatever. But now I've given up that privacy. But for all of you out there, privacy is something that you need to treasure, and it's something that we fight for in this country. And if it's something that we're now giving up, whatever, if you want to post that you're at the dentist and you've got a toothache, that's different. but everything else about you is gathered and shared and sold. You need to think about that. And that's why Mark is on the show tonight. Also, keep the guest requests coming, because Mark Weinstein is on the show tonight because we received multiple requests to have him on this show. And he's a tough guy to nail down. I had to go through his assistant's assistant. And thank you, Jack, by the way, for putting this show together tonight. But, and I was like, yeah, I read Mark all the time. He would be great. He's exactly who I'm talking about. And it turns out Mark's a fan of the show. That was luck. That was pure luck. And so there you go. And only happened because of somebody multiple times said, you got to get this guy Mark Weinstein on the show. He's got something to say. And that's why we say this is bespoke radio for the masses. And if you don't know what bespoke means, you know what it means. Somebody sent it in. It's kind of funny. You go look up the Merriam-Webster definition of bespoke. I haven't, but I'm sure what it says is custom clothing. You get a custom shirt, a jacket, a suit, something tailored for you, and it feels amazing. That's what this show is. Okay? That's what it is. It's custom made, and it's cool. All right, so that I just had to get that off of my chest. Privacy is something that we should all treasure. Let's not give it up. We can't. And before it slips a little bit out of control, there is something that you can do about it. And tonight, Mark Weinstein is going to help us do just that. So with that, let's see here. Okay, hold on. I got the feeling this is going to be a good email. Hold on. Oh, I can't read it. WR250. Yeah. Okay. I got your email, and I know you're listening right now. Oh, doesn't everybody want to know? All right. All right. So I got all of that out of the way. Let's take a break. When I come back, we will have Mark Weinstein in the house. Oh, you know who I didn't say happy birthday to today? Adrian Grenier. Dude's like 18 years old. You know, from Entourage. Happy birthday, Adrian. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses, only on the Dark Matter Radio Network. I'll be back right after this with Mark Weinstein, CEO of Scruples.com. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church on the Dark Matter Radio Network.
Dark Matter.
Dark Matter. Dark Matter. Dark Matter. Dark Matter.
You're listening to Fade to Black
on the Dark Matter Radio Network.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black, the Thursday edition. Only on the Dark Matter Radio Network, bespoke radio for the masses. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Shoot me an email right now to jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at jchurchradio. Let's get this one cracking. I am ready. Mark Weinstein is a leading privacy advocate and the creator-founder of Scruples.com, the world's private social network. Scruples is unique in that its users are protected by its revolutionary privacy Bill of Rights with no tracking or cookies, monitoring, user activity, or any data. The company motto is practice safe sharing. I love that. Scruples combines powerful features like private groups, photo, video, document sharing, personal cloud storage, and direct one-to-one messaging into the ultimate social experience while giving its users unprecedented privacy. Mark is an advisory board member of the Future of Privacy Forum, as well as a steering committee member of the National Strategy for Trusted Identities in Cyberspace, otherwise known as NSTIC, a White House initiative. As a visionary social networking pioneer, Mark founded Superfamily.com and Superfriends.com way back in 1998, which were PC Magazine's top 100 sites and precursors to today's social networks. He is also the author of the award-winning, habitually great book series endorsed by the late Stephen Covey. I would like to welcome to the program Mark Weinstein. Mark, are you with us, sir?
I am with you. Jimmy, it's great to be here. Thank you very much. And what a great topic to talk about, and thank you for that very kind introduction.
Topics. Topics. I don't even know where to start. And the thing is this, and I know you understand and know this already. This show is just an open-ended conversation. And even though you're up north, I'm down south here in Burbank, but we're just together. Let's have a conversation, and hopefully, I instructed everybody on Twitter tonight before the show. Listen carefully. Tonight, you have to pay attention, and I think it's important. I think the message is very, very important. I don't know if you heard the intro in the show, but and as you know, I have discussed this. I try to every single night, and the direction of the internet and where it's going now, I'm a little nervous. And, and so I'm going to start off like this, if you don't mind, Mark. Why should we be concerned with social media privacy?
Well, that's a great place to start, right? Because, it's really, and let's jump back 240 years. And why should the founders of this great country, the United States of America, why would they be concerned with the right to privacy? Why did they create the Fourth Amendment that says, quote, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects, and that's like the internet, against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. So, a couple hundred years ago, before technology, right, what did these guys have? Boats and guns. So
and pen and paper.
And pen and paper, right, and pen and paper. But they knew how important, because this is part of freedom, and what they could never envision. This is the most amazing thing. They were worried about government intrusion, but they couldn't imagine that such a thing as technology, that companies would become the Gestapo, that companies would become the data vacuums that would have, 1,500 points of data on every one of us. Now, this is really shocking.
When you say 1,500 points of data, okay, give me the 10 scariest.
Well, first of all, whatever you are Google searching about, whatever topics are important in your life, whether it's an illness, a disease, a special interest, whatever it is that's private to you, that you're looking at, just like you would, do in the privacy of your own home, but you're doing it in the privacy of your own home on Google or, wherever you're going, and that data is now known. So, the top 10 could be, and remember, they know, the data brokers, and the data brokers really are just, they're bottom feeders. They're getting data from Google, from Facebook, from Yahoo, and they're just aggregating all this data. So it's also the churches you go to, the religion you practice, your political beliefs. These are all things that your activity online mimics your private life. And, this was the idea. The government shouldn't know, and private corporations shouldn't know what your private practices are. This is what democracy and freedom is about. Privacy, the right to privacy. What happens 10 years from now when the wrong guys have this information? We can't trust human beings to handle this kind of information correctly. We never have been able to.
What about where do we draw the line in the sand between private citizen and private citizen sick child pornographer guy? You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Where do we draw the line in the sand between that guy and another guy that's trying to build a nuclear bomb and he's trying to whatever? I mean, so how does that happen? Or do they have rights too?
Well, here's the thing. The Constitution. Again, we're going back 200 years to the Constitution, to the creation of the Constitution, because the founders of our democracy knew that the majority of us, the great majority, 99.9% of us would be law-abiding, great citizens and patriots. And they also understood that there are always bad guys where there are good guys. So, but the idea is, and in the courts of law today, is still that when you suspect somebody of something, and this is, by the way, what the Supreme Court decided a couple of weeks ago about, is your cell phone, searchable when you get pulled over because you ran a stop sign, or, because they're worried about you. And the fact is that the Fourth Amendment says that law enforcement, which I love and I support dearly, and I know some incredible, law enforcement, and I love the FBI. I think we have great law enforcement in our country, and there's processes and procedures that they follow very carefully that they're trained in so that we can convict the bad guys, so that we can catch them and put them behind bars. And it's no different on the web. If someone wants to find out, first of all, you can figure out who a suspect is, and then you go through the proper procedures. So it's the same thing. It's really no different. Just like we don't know what a bad guy is doing in his home, but we're going to have to watch and identify some behavior that's outside that we can identify as dangerous. He becomes a suspect. We get the right warrants. We investigate.
What are the odds of not you? Well, okay, you or myself. What are the odds if you were really stupid and Google searched something dumb, whatever something that you shouldn't type in? What are the odds of you getting caught and flagged? I mean, like some wrong words.
Well, that's very interesting. So listen, there's a great movie out, everybody. So for all our listeners, it's a great, fascinating movie about how we gave our privacy away. We didn't even realize it. If you tweet something stupid by mistake, or, you tweet something like, let's go postal tonight, right? And you're tweeting it to your guy friends, and you're going out, and what you're really meaning is, let's just go drink and have fun, have a party.
Right.
But if you watch Cullen Hoback, Hoback, Cullen has produced this brilliant documentary film called Terms and Conditions May Apply. And one of the things that he shows in this movie, by the way, it's won a ton of film festival awards, and you can get it on Netflix now. And it shows that if you, on social media, tweet or post the wrong thing, you might actually really get a visit, a knock on the door.
Mm-hmm.
So, after all, that's public. That's social media. So you do want to start to be careful, and I think people are learning quickly after the ecstasy of public social media, the Twitter, the Facebook, there's the laundry. So, people are actually starting to censor themselves, which is really a good thing, but it really, it defeats the purpose of hanging out with your family and your friends in a public way. Really, we aren't public with our family and friends. We're social, but we're private at the same time. We're private in these circles that we hang out in.
When you type the wrong word, and we're going to move on from this, but I think all of this is These are questions that we ask ourselves all the time when you're surfing the net. Now we are definitely, like you said, we censor ourselves. But who is the final drip at the bottom of the funnel? Is it the NSA? Is it the FBI? Is it another internal agency here in the United States?
Well, listen. Okay, all right. Let's really. I love that. No one's ever posed that way. The final drip is probably the NSA, but let's see, how does it get there?
Right.
Let's use Google. Okay. So Amir Efrati did a great study of what does Google know on a reporter at the Wall Street Journal. So the Wall Street Journal published this. Amir published this last July in the Wall Street Journal. So here's what they discovered: what Google knows about one person. Google knows all 134,966 emails. The guy's name is Tom. So since in his Gmail account since 2004, and that has stored all 6,147 of his chats in those 10 years. So every word. And then they aggregate it. They sort it. Remember, their algorithm sorts it by content, by topic, by everything. Google knows all 2,702 contacts that the guy has, all of them. Google knows the 9,220 YouTube videos Tom's watched. Google knows all of his passwords. Google knows all of his documents. Google knows his location. Google knows the 64,019 searches that Tom has done. So, and where they were and what the topic was. So, the answer is this stuff, you type in you're doing the wrong search, and you're at Google and whatever that search is. Let's say you're writing a report, because one of the things that Colin Holback discovered in Terms and Conditions, you may be a reporter researching a story, and you just happen to be Googling the wrong stuff. You might get a visit. So, so the last drip is likely to be the NSA, but, another drip could be healthcare.gov. I've written about this on Huffington Post. Healthcare.gov's privacy policy allows them to access these drips of data. There's a lot of places this data goes that it shouldn't go.
One of the, I don't run with questions, but today I went back and I was like, I've got to, I read this with Mark, I read this. So I went back and I got the list of your, I don't know, the last 10 or 15 articles, blogs that you have done. And each one of them is like a question in itself, and it opens up the door to, and I'm serious. I told everybody, your stuff is required reading 101 for anybody that owns a computer. In this day and age where we are at right now, you just need to be aware. And one of the I love this headline. Is Silicon Valley more dangerous to your privacy than the NSA? and that's one of the things where you kind of do a double take, and that's a very, very serious headline because it says a lot. Is Silicon Valley more dangerous to our privacy than the NSA?
Absolutely. No question about it. And that's why I wrote the article with that headline, because really the NSA is a bottom feeder. The NSA, when we grow up, we're taught in our history classes about, communist countries, dictatorships, authoritarian countries where they have secret police, where they're spying on everybody. And here we are in the great United States of America, and until last summer, the summer of Snowden, we didn't realize how much the NSA was looking at us. But what's the NSA looking at? Sure, the NSA is grabbing, phone call transmissions, but the NSA is really going in the back door at Google, Facebook, all these data brokers, because this data is out there. And where do they get that data from? Silicon Valley. Who's spying on us? Is it really the NSA? No. Silicon Valley is spying on us. Facebook is spying on us. Facebook is tracking us at 1,205 of the top 2,510 websites in the United States. Who reported that? The Wall Street Journal, Elizabeth Dwoskin. So absolutely, everybody, we've got to start to look at what we're doing. We've given our way of privacy. We didn't realize it. We also didn't understand what we were doing when we gave it away. And all of a sudden we're realizing, hey, wait a minute. My privacy is my business. It's important.
Well, the original, and I said this in the intro of the show, but the allure of MySpace and Facebook originally for all of us private citizens, it was like, wow, I get to expose myself a little bit here, and it's kind of fun. And it turned out,
sure.
absolutely, and it was addictive in the beginning. Well, it still is for I don't know how many people on Facebook right now, 1 billion.
Right. Well, 1 billion. We're not sure how many are active, but absolutely.
Yeah, and so being able to give away that little piece of your privacy, you take a snapshot of the taco shells you just bought at Ralph's, and you post it. Hey, I'm at Ralph's. I just bought taco shells. You're exposing yourself a little bit, and that's kind of fun. And so it's okay to give up that little piece of privacy, or so we thought. But now,
that's different, right, Jimmy? That's different.
Exactly. And I just don't get where Zuckerberg went wrong. And do you think? Well, no. Answer that. Where do you think he went wrong? What?
Well, here's first of all, for our listeners, I love Facebook. I love what they did. They opened up the world, and I love the idea that I can post publicly, which I like to do about 4 times a year. If it's my birthday and I want to post a birthday picture for everybody, cool. If I'm visiting Congress and talking to the Senate Commerce Committee about privacy and how the Chinese are hacking, Silicon Valley companies and things like that, great. But if I'm talking to my family, that's not public. When I'm hanging out with my friends, that's not public. But what happened? So Facebook opened up the world in a really neat way. Facebook was like, and I'm using was because I think we're starting to be at the end of the Facebook era. I call it from 2004 to 2014. Facebook was like a really cool restaurant that opened up down the street. We've never had the food before. We were really hungry, and we all went there, and the word of mouth was great, and we just, it was like, wow, all our friends are hanging out there. So we went there. There's a great expression called after the ecstasy, the laundry, because we did get hooked. What we didn't understand was that Mark Zuckerberg, who believes that, he doesn't really think that people need to be private. If you've read, comments he's made, and even in 2010, he said, and this is a direct quote, he said, privacy is a social norm of the past. That's a direct quote from Mark Zuckerberg. So Mark believes that, doesn't really understand that we have private lives. He doesn't understand why we need privacy, and that also extended to this whole data vacuum, because these are data vacuums, and what they really were doing was studying human behavior so they could market to us, and so they were just grabbing data. So much so, Jimmy, that today Facebook on their app for your smartphone, as a part of that app, has a feature called Facebook Listening, where they ask you if they can listen all the time to your microphone.
How do you shut that off?
Well, first of all, you got to check the app and check to make sure that your settings are correct. Look for that setting and make sure that you uncheck the box.
You just freaked me out. Okay, I didn't even know about that.
Isn't that?
No, I did not know about that.
This out.
Oh, really? What? Oh, man.
Facebook's listening to your microphone, and Google is buying satellite companies. Can we talk?
Yeah, I know. Isn't that the crazy? What does that really mean when you can buy a satellite like that? I mean, what is that message?
Well, Google. Well, here's a message for everybody. Number one is that we are not the customer at Facebook and Google and Yahoo and companies like those. We are the product. So we want to stop thinking that we're the customer, because we're not. Advertising companies are the customers. Data brokers are the customers, because they pay for the data. So we're the product. So every decision those companies make is not about giving us a better experience. It's about getting more data on us, and it's packaged in, here's an idea that we think you might like, but it's really all about every decision is about more data. How do we get more data?
What about, let's go back to the cell phone issue, because you just freaked me out, and it was actually one of the topics. And by the way, terms and conditions may apply. That was my surprise close to the show. So you just kind of rained on that parade.
Sorry, man.
But we're going to discuss that at length.
Yeah, for sure. Colin Hoback is an advisor to me, to the company, the director, of that film, the guy who wrote it and directed it. He's a genius. He's the Super Size Me. He's the Michael Moore of our time. He's unbelievable.
with smartphones, when we say now, I understand the law enforcement side of it, but is there a way to make cell phones private? You see it. I hate to say, you see it all the time on 24 or whatever. They break out the secret case that it snaps into, and suddenly it's encrypted. But is there a way to protect your data on your smartphone and go completely private with it, or is it the answer just not to have a smartphone?
Well, all right. Really, really good question. Of course, you asked the greatest ones, and really. The first thing is, for all our listeners, I am a firm believer in social media, and I'm a firm believer in being connected with technology. I love it. I built one of the first social networks in the world in 1998. I'm back, and we built the PC Magazine Top 100 company back then, and we're here again because staying connected is what technology offers us, and it's fantastic. Now, can you really be private on your cell phone? Well, you can adopt some practices to give you some parts of privacy. Look, your cell phone company knows where your phone is. Even if you turn off the location feature, they know where your phone is. They know where you're making calls from because they know what towers are connecting to your phone when you're using it to text or make a call. Mm-hmm. So, for everybody, you don't want to think if you turn off the location feature on your phone that you're turning it off. You are turning it off to your apps, which is great because the apps are creepy and they just collect all the data. Mm-hmm. But your cell phone company always knows because whatever you're doing is connecting to a tower, with the closest tower to you in that moment. So, you really want to look at, the companies you're using. Now, a lot of our listeners aren't going to realize that Snapchat was recently fined for lying to all of us from the beginning. Snapchat pictures don't disappear. So if you've got Snapchat pictures of, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, your congressman that you've been sharing privately, and you've got some really sexy or revealing pictures on that you've shared, those pictures didn't disappear on whosever phone you sent them to. They're buried in a folder. So wake up, everybody. Snapchat pictures don't disappear. So that's not private.
Well, let me stop you right there. For everybody that, please tell everybody what Snapchat is if they don't know what it is. Because, and I'm going to cut you. I'm going to cut myself off. The understanding that I had when I read the release on that, it freaked me out. But I thought you had a limited amount of time to respond, and if you didn't, boom, picture's gone, and it's vaporized forever, and you couldn't retrieve it yourself. Now, that's what I understood. Explain to everybody what the application actually is.
So, you're close, right? That's the selling. That was the selling.
Right.
So, unfortunately, these guys were just making a buck, and they really should go to jail because, capitalism really needs an integrity compass. Democracy has to have an integrity compass, and it's not right just to lie to consumers and build a company that's worth a few $1 billion based on the premise of a lie that they had to know. Anybody who's an executive in technology has to know this. So, and in fact, it was discovered well over a year ago. So here's what happens. So the picture, if you receive a picture, your phone actually has to receive it, and then it has to open it. And so, poof, the magic of it disappearing in 10 seconds, really what happens is it gets dropped down into a folder that has a scrambled access on your phone. So you actually need to be a relatively good technologist. I've seen apps now that can access these pictures for like $20. But when they first were cracking them, you need to be, a pretty good hacker. But the point is that Snapchat promised that the pictures disappeared. Those pictures don't disappear. They just drop down into a folder that's very hard to find. Once you know how to find it, they are all there right in your phone's memory.
And Facebook, didn't they just, what was the name of their app? They tried to do the same thing a couple of weeks ago. They bought another company. What was...
Well, Facebook bought WhatsApp.
Yeah, WhatsApp.
Right. Facebook paid $19 billion for WhatsApp. WhatsApp, has an encryption technology.
How much?
$19 billion. Do you know why?
Oh man.
Guess why? What was Facebook buying?
I don't know, but I think I need to start writing code. 19
Facebook was
billion.
buying data.
Right.
Data. Remember, these are data companies. They're really not social media companies. They're data companies. Facebook was buying data, and you know what? The FTC, God bless them, the FTC, this is a very little known, I haven't written about this, the FTC chairwoman wrote a letter to Mark Zuckerberg and the CEO of WhatsApp saying, if you guys use this data, we're going to sue your butts. So
with Zuckerberg, and not only that, but Google itself, and we're going to move on here in just a second, but that wasn't the intention. You know, Zuckerberg, yeah, he wanted a little startup. He's in college. I get that. I saw the movie. I understand it. And it was fun. It was competitive with him and his buddies. Okay, he got an app, social. Yeah, we're going to connect with other schools. I get that. Google, startup. I get it. Startup money, venture capital. Let's do this. Let's build the best search engine. You know, but now it's turned into data mining, data collection, and there are probably representatives of both companies, you know, every day pulling into the NSA offices up in Salt Lake City and checking on data retrieval as consultants. I don't doubt that. How did it turn into this? Is it just money? Is it money that is driving this? Is it fear, terrorism? I don't understand where we went wrong.
You know, it's really interesting to look at that. Like, where did we hit this slippery slope? And now, you know, these companies are addicted. This is like a heroin addiction. These guys are addicted to data, and this is what they discovered. Because one of the things was, how do we make money? Right? You're a company on the internet. Everybody's looking at how do we make money, no matter what business you're in. And so, you know, historically, the way we make money in capitalism is that, you know, historically, sort of before this Facebook era and before really the web, you know, a company had to provide, you know, great services, great products, and then people would come. Same thing for a restaurant. You know, a restaurant doesn't come in your house and look in your cupboards and your refrigerator and see what's in there and then create the menu at their restaurant. No, they have to just have great product offerings, great service, and then you'll come, you'll have a great experience, and you'll come back. You'll spend your money there. Somehow, these guys in social media, like, they fell off the boat. And they got hooked on, wait a minute, I can come inside your living room. I can come inside your bedroom. I can come inside your mind. Remember, Facebook is doing emotional manipulation now. We know that. This has been the headline for the last 2 weeks.
Right.
So I can come inside your mind, figure out how I can market to you the best way possible. I can predict when your relationship is going to end, so I can actually start giving you ads right around that time when I know your relationship is going to end. I mean, it's incredible what they're doing with, you know, the research they're doing on human beings just for the purpose of marketing.
One of the fascinating things for me, and I started seeing this a few years ago, but the things that I search for on the net, boring, first off, okay, but that have nothing to do with Facebook. The application's closed, you know, and I need to go look at house prices in the, you know, in the valley here. You know, I want to go house shopping. Or I look up a new digital interface for the studio here, right? Some audio product. And then a couple of weeks later, a long time has passed since I did those searches, but those ads are popping up, you know, for digital interface. Who would, you know, who wants to see a digital interface ad on Facebook? But they're popping up. I had computer problems a couple of weeks ago, so I started looking at Alienware Computers and a couple of other companies. And those exclusively, I've got home ads, digital interfaces, and specifically Alienware Computers are the ads that are there. And so Google is, you know what I mean? And you can see the trade going. Somebody is buying my information somewhere and being targeted at little old me. And I'm, you know, and that's goes with 350 million Americans across the country.
The system is very, very sophisticated. So, you know, imagine, as we said, that so Facebook is tracking us at 1,200 of the top 2,510 sites. They're also tracking people that aren't members. So there's data all the time. Data. It's feeding into this giant data vacuum. And you're right. Someone is paying. So that data goes into, and we'll just try and simplify it here because it's actually very sophisticated, but we'll simplify it. So you visit a site, let's say you visit United Airlines, right? And, you're looking for an airline ticket, and then that data, becomes a marker on you and where the city you're traveling and the dates you're traveling and all that. You might buy your ticket, but the data system doesn't care. The data system now knows, and then, they start selling that information to the top bidder who wants to put the ad in front of you.
One of the comments, and I just saw this pop up on Twitter, and this went around about 6 months ago, about remote cameras being activated, on your laptop or on your cell phone. Is that actually possible?
Remember our earlier conversation? Facebook, all you have to do is check a box, and they are listening to your microphone. Can you imagine how easy it is to access that camera if it's that easy to access the microphone? All you do is check the box and say, okay, Facebook, you can do this. And I don't know what it looks like when people download the app for the first time now, because Facebook listening is now built into the app. So people have to be careful. When you check the terms and conditions, you may very well be checking Facebook listening also. So the answer is it's so easy to access that camera. And when we download a lot of apps on our phones and on our computers, we don't know because we just check okay to the terms and conditions. And there's so much stuff in that, in those terms and conditions that we're not reading, that we're not seeing. So what about these televisions with cameras now? Samsung's new line. It's like, oh my God, cameras in the house. Everybody, don't buy a television with a camera.
Put a piece of tape over it? Is that the
At least.
And I'm not being facetious. I mean, has it come to that? And that's
yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Listen, Google bought Nest. Nest is a company that specializes in inside electronic controls for your heaters, for your electricity, for everything. For your thermostats, and Google owns that company. Google gets all that data. It's come on. Google is everywhere.
I hung out a little bit with another CEO. I can't say who, but he scared me with one thing. We were down here in L.A. and he said, Jimmy, who is the richest celebrity in Hollywood? And we dropped a bunch of names, and he goes, that they're not rich. You have no idea what real money is until you talk Silicon Valley money. That is a magnitude above anything that you can relate to. And he said it to me with the straightest face, and it scared me. And that, I think that's the ultimate motivation for all of those. You're 18 years old, you're in college, and you do your startup 19 years old. And then you bump into this internet money, which just boggles the mind.
It does. I mean, absolutely right. Google is, inventing the whole, robot cars, autonomous cars. Google's invested in, I think now 12 robot companies. Google buys satellite companies. Google, robots. Robots are going to be in our houses. Google's going to have all the data. Absolutely. They have so much money. And when their motto, which should have always scared us, right? And listen, Google search engines are fantastic, and I recommend people use DuckDuckGo, for example, or StartPage.com, for example, because they don't track you. But, Google's motto, remember Google's motto, Jimmy? It's do no evil.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
I've written a book on language, Habitually Great Communication, Master the Power of Your Words. So, when you say do no evil, your mind doesn't picture doing good. Your mind pictures evil. Why did they pick this, this is their trademark name, do no evil? I mean, come on, you couldn't think of something more positive than that, guys?
with I want to back up. There was a tweet that came in, and they wanted to know about the Onion search engine.
So, really, any search engine, including, Onion, any search engine that's not tracking you is, a good, certainly a better way of doing it. So, the ones I'm most familiar with right now, and certainly, a great American company, DuckDuckGo. And that's really what you want to, focus on is, especially for search. So I can't speak very much to, to Onion as much as our questioner might want us to right now.
So, another tweet just came in and says, I use my start page for my search stuff. It's great. We
just mentioned that, startpage.com.
Right.
Remember, the Onion isn't really, when you do search on the Onion, I'm not really sure what's happening, because the Onion is, as we know, is really a great media organization, and I really haven't used their search function. So I really don't know. It's a great question. What happens when you search inside the Onion? So here's what I'm going to commit to our writer. It's a great question. I will review their privacy policy, because that's the only place you can really find out, and you got to look for all the doublespeak. And don't believe a trustee, privacy certified, stamp of approval, because trustee they're just good friends of Facebook.
Is there, now you're involved in Washington, D.C. Who are the lobbyists, and how do things get regulated? What is private, what isn't, what is public domain? And I do want to talk about the European Union Court of Justice decision earlier this year too, as well. We'll get to that in a second. But who is doing that type of lobbying in and for laws in Washington D.C.?
Well, we will. Let's just start by saying Facebook and Google are not lobbying for laws. And also that I really want capitalism to work here. Because we do, capitalism is all about choice. It's all about, us having choice. And also, one of the key features of capitalism is the government controlling monopoly. So, who is really doing it? Google and Facebook are spending a ton of money lobbying, and also discreetly lobbying the government. What we do see is the FTC standing up to these companies. And really, this is really incredible. We've seen the FTC and the Supreme Court in their recent ruling, and as you said, we'll talk about in a few minutes, really take a stand and say, hey, wait a minute, everybody. When it comes to the Senate, Senator Rockefeller has been, out of West Virginia, has been a big advocate of privacy. But really, we've got, here's the challenge. We've got a bunch of white-haired, 60-something-year-old, people in Washington who can't really get their act together, and they're supposed to regulate technology, and they don't even understand technology. With all due respect to our elected, officials. So we have a real problem.
I'm listening. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, we have a real problem, right? How do we give technology a conscience? How do we decide what's okay and what's not? We know how to find companies like Google, for example, the Do No Evil company, when they went around as recently as 2011, 2012, doing Google Maps, and they stole all of our unsecured wireless networks and passwords, and they were fined $22 million by our government, and they've been fined by foreign governments as well. That's Do No Evil, but we don't know this till after the fact. And the question is, now, how in the world can we come up with a blue ribbon commission to decide what technology is good for us, what technology is bad? This is really something that's unsolved that we've got to figure out. How can we help technology have some kind of integrity, some kind of moral compass, and also foster its development. Is it okay that Google owns satellite companies that spy on us? Is that okay? I don't think so.
What about with the data that not only is on a home computer or a laptop or a tablet or your cell phone? Can they go backwards and check your hard drives for data too, or do you need a warrant for something specific like that?
No, that's why the Supreme Court said, you need a warrant just to get somebody's smartphone and look at it. You do need, to look at somebody's computer. These are personal effects, and the Supreme Court rightly decided that when they said the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. And it means, even if we know somebody's a bad guy, we have to go through the proper channels, just like we've always had to do. There's probably 1,000 cases in the United States just today that were thrown out of court because a proper procedure wasn't followed on gathering evidence, having nothing to do with electronic technology. This is the hardest and most important challenge for, our prosecutors and law enforcement is to follow the rules carefully, which they work so hard to do. Same thing with searching a computer or searching now a smartphone based on the Supreme Court decision recently. So, and sure, a hard drive has a lot of data. Remember we just talked about with Google? Google has that whole history of all the chats that Tom did from 10 years ago.
All of that is it's never deleted. I mean, but are those drives? That's what I'm confused about. How far back can they go? I mean, are the drives eventually destroyed? Are they kept active? Are they backed up? Are the backup drives backed up? And how far back does this actually go? So at Scruples, for example, it takes us 30 days to do a full delete because, of course, we have to have backups. But we delete everything completely. So if you click delete, it'll 30 days to cycle through the backup servers, and it's gone forever. But that's because we don't own your content. And this is a new kind of company. This is what we want people to look for. Besides our company, look for companies where they have no claim over your content. But if Facebook and Google, they don't have to really ever delete it. After all, their terms and conditions say they own your content too. So that's a problem. They own your content too. They own your pictures. They own your posts. They own everything. So they never need to delete it because it's not yours. What about buddy chats and stuff from AOL 1.0 in 1995? Is that data still stored somewhere?
That's a good question. My guess is not, because AOL was really one of the private companies. AOL was not spying on you, and AOL Mail was one of the holdouts, and still is today. I don't believe AOL is spying on their email providers. It's just that, email users, nobody uses AOL. They haven't for a decade. Mm-hmm. But, AOL was a privacy company. They were they were a media company, right? So they were buying, Times Warner bought them. They were a different kind of company. They just didn't know how to stay contemporary. They're sort of like a MySpace that somehow hung on, but we're not sure how or why.
Another tweet just came in. I want to read this to you. What is your spoofing your IP address or running through an anonymous proxy? So,
which is actually what these, that's a great question because that's what StartPage is doing, for example, and what DuckDuckGo does. So they take your search and then they run it through what's called a proxy server. So a proxy server anonymizes everything about you. So now your search request goes through a proxy server that just really wipes out all the data on you. Now you're really nothing, except for just an algorithm. They have no data on who you are, where you're from, where you're coming in from, and nothing. And then the search results are served to you. Again, this proxy server has scraped anything about you whatsoever. So they can't, StartPage or DuckDuckGo can't start aggregating data on you and creating a packet like Google does because they have no idea who you are or where you are, because the proxy server has just cleaned all that up.
Another great question coming in, and you have to love this audience. I mean, they're on top of their game. Where is, when we talk about the cloud, in quotations, where does that data sit?
We've got to figure out who invented this term, the cloud, right? Because first there was the World Wide Web, which we know who invented that, Sir Tim Berners-Lee, who's a friend of mine and a great, great human being. And he invented the World Wide Web, which celebrated its 25th anniversary. Remember, the web is a baby. It's 25 years old. The Internet springs from the web. So, and then, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I just don't know who actually coined the term. Well, now we're going to call the Internet the cloud. And where is this cloud? Well, of course, there is no cloud. If you're storing something in the, quote, cloud, it's actually stored on servers, which are in some server farm hosted somewhere in the world. They're on the ground. They have air conditioning. They have electricity. This whole metaphor of the cloud is really absurd.
Okay.
Really, to put it bluntly, let's just look at this. The cloud was some marketing team's idea of we're going to mystify everybody and fog up their minds by calling this, this amorphous thing, the cloud. Oh, you're storing your stuff up in the cloud. What a bunch of baloney.
Well, the first I heard about it was Steve Jobs. That was the first time I heard a reference to it, but he had said, it was in an interview somewhere, but, the future is the cloud. And I just thought, where, what, who, when, where, why, what is the cloud? And I'm just glad that I'm not the only one that has been scratching their heads on that. But
it's so funny, right?
Yeah, it is. It's a strange term.
It was a marketing idea.
Well, also, I think the cloud was an answer to hard drive space on your personal computer. Why store everything there and applications when you can, just keep everything in the cloud. Your pictures don't, but now hard drives are so cheap. And I never thought I would say they would have gotten cheaper than they were 5 years ago. But now it's ridiculous. Storage space is free. Is there a need for the cloud in the future when storage is so cheap and getting cheaper?
Well, listen, let's look at this from a few different, let's take sort of like the fork approaches. There's a few different prongs. Number one is that when the Internet, when the web came around, with Sir Tim Berners-Lee, and then the Internet, and then, like companies like ours in 1998, the cloud already existed. We built the largest commercial installation of servers in the state of New Mexico in 1998. That was, and still is, that's what the cloud means. So people stored their photos and their documents and their stories, and their videos. I mean, there's nothing new here, really. Those were stored. You would post them. They're stored online. So it was just that things were stored online. And then came the idea, you're exactly right, that, wait a minute, computers are going to get so small, we don't need we're not going to store anything on our hard drives anymore. We're all going to store it on the Internet. And they came up with this marketing term we'll call that the cloud. So here we are now with this metaphor of the cloud, which is still, as I said, just these server farms everywhere, like they always were. They just changed the marketing idea. And now, and here's what I think, because of privacy. Because of privacy, I believe we're also going to come back to storing things on our hard drives and not pushing them to the cloud so much unless we're storing them as a backup with companies that don't spy on this stuff.
Bingo.
Because once you're on the cloud, if you're using a company like Google, I know some people will put all their pictures on Google or their documents in Google Docs. They back them up. And everybody, wait a minute. You don't just own those. Google does too, and they're looking and spying, and they'll store. You delete those, but they're going to have the data on you forever.
What exactly? And is that the closest way or the best way to, keep stuff private? Is just keep it on your own hard drives and don't share that information and store and back up in the cloud. That only makes perfect sense. Well,
this is where, companies like Box have come in. There's a company like Silent Circle. There are companies. There's a company, Spider Oak, which has good encrypted storage for your documents. but technically, again, I encourage everybody not to freak out too much because you want to be active in the world. I want all of us to participate. I love technology because it connects me, to my sister when she's in Israel, to, my girlfriend when she's in China, to my family that's around the world, to my friends who are everywhere, because we live in a mobile world. And I don't mean your smartphone. I mean we're mobile. We work and live everywhere, and our social circles are everywhere. So the key is to be smart, to start changing our practices, and to stop giving away our privacy.
I brought this up earlier. On May 13th, the European Union Court of Justice, the ECJ, rained on Google's, this is straight off of your page, by the way, rained on Google's anti-privacy parade by ruling that people in Europe only can ask the search engine company to delete sensitive information from its internet search results. Now, that's a pretty bold statement. After reading your article, it wasn't all what it seems, I should say. And also, when you have, and then I want you to expand on this, please. But if somebody here in the United States did something, whatever it is, and it was printed in the paper, and later on you were cleared of those crimes, or you paid your back taxes, or whatever the newspaper article said, it's still in hard print, correct? And if it is stored data-wise, how can that be deleted when it was printed on a paper?
Well, this is a really interesting decision by the European Commission, and this is a rare moment where, as strong a privacy advocate as I am, I completely disagree with their decision, because what they've done is allowed for, bad guys to curate their feeds. In other words, to curate what Google serves up. You might be, let's say, you might have had a conviction. You might have been a convicted felon, a child molester, a bank robber, whatever. And in Europe, and that's public domain information, and you might have done your time. So now you're back in the world. But still, that conviction is very real. It happened. It's public record. And now, you decided that, you might be interviewing somebody, right, who's going to be a nanny. And maybe she's committed a crime against the family before, but she can ask Google not to allow that to come up in the searches on her, and Google has to abide by her. This decision went too far. I totally agree that we should be able to tell Google, don't find any place that I'm tagged, anybody's comments about me, that we should, no conjecture about me. But public records from courts of law and things like that, the European Court of Justice, I think, went too far. This makes it so, how can we even trust a Google search in Europe? By the way, this is only in Europe. In the United States, this law does not apply.
Can you search on Google outside of your country? In other words, if you're in China, can you use Google in the United States? Is there a way around it? Is there and I think you understand the question. You don't have to use, are you limited to, like, the blocking that China has, can you, or North Korea for that matter, can you get outside of that country and search inside the United States?
There are always ways to work around the filters for the most part, except, for example, North Korea. Countries that are very isolated can really put filters and block everything. But the Chinese are pretty savvy, and they have access to lots of technology today. And, of course, they're global because they travel around the world. So an example like that, you can find ways to connect, through different portals and end up doing a search that's, that really looks like a search that's done in the United States. So, there's a lot of filtering. The Chinese, of course, are very concerned about watching, their people. The Chinese government recently announced that they would be watching WeChat, which is the Facebook of China, that they were going to be going in behind the scenes in the back door of WeChat, because the Chinese government is not a democracy, and they're very they're really a fascinating experiment. China is in this, capitalism and authoritarianism at the same time. So yes, in some places you can, sort of backdoor it so that you end up actually doing a Google search that looks like it was done through the United States.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about email. And I think that is one of the big issues that we need to discuss. So when we come back, we'll talk with Mark Weinstein about your email. This is Fade to Black on the Dark Matter Radio Network. Shoot me an email right now to Jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. I got a few emails lined up. Follow us on Twitter @JChurchRadio. We're talking internet privacy with Mark Weinstein. Back right after this. Stay with us.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal God on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? My name's Brian Taylor, Ninja Badass Extraordinaire, and this is JimmyChurchRadio.com.
JJCR in your face.
JimmyChurchRadio.com
on the Dark Matter Radio Network.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Fade to Black, the Thursday edition, only on the Dark Matter Radio Network. This is bespoke radio for the masses. All right, been reading your tweets. Got a lot of questions lined up for Mark. And I said before the break, how far do we need to go to protect our email? And are we protected at all? And what can we do?
There are some new service providers. There's something called Proton. So if you really want, an encrypted product that they're not spying on you, go to Proton. Now, this is really a great question you've asked, and I'll tell you why. Because Google just announced that they're encrypting their Gmail, and I don't want anybody to buy into this this fallacy that there's privacy at Gmail, because Google's encrypting it so it can't get hacked as it travels through the web. But the fact is that Google's privacy policy didn't change at all because, of course, Google's a data broker. So they're still reading every word, spying on everything. Nothing's changed. So they're just encrypting it as a pretend offense against the NSA. The NSA was never really intercepting Gmail. The NSA was just going to Google's back door and saying, okay, you've got this packet of information on people, and we're going to just grab it. That packet of information will still exist. So you have to start looking for companies like Proton Mail. This is also, Jimmy, this is what Marissa Mayer did. So if some of our listeners were legacy Yahoo Mail users, then they know when Marissa Mayer came to town to Yahoo from Facebook 2 years ago now, one of the very first things she did, Yahoo Mail was private. Yahoo didn't look at it. It was one of the great features of Yahoo, and it's what people loved. And one of the first things she did was change their privacy policy so that they now data scrape and read every email that you write. People were offended, and then they were like, well, what am I going to do? Well, finally, new products are coming.
Like?
Well, like Scruples, for example.
Okay.
Because Scruples is going to be a whole, communication network. So it's really we see email as sort of an old style system, an old legacy system. And what people really want today are communication networks, where they're sharing videos and they're in groups and they're one-on-one and, they're sharing photos and documents. So I think that you're going to see a whole evolution, and Scruples is really the first, new kind of communication platform of its type. That's why Darcy Travelos at Forbes magazine called us the next generation.
This is a direct question. This is from Billy. He says, I put my writing on Google. Can they prevent me later from publishing it because of the ownership clause?
so far, they haven't done anything like that because their ownership clause doesn't give them rights to take the ownership away from you. It's a co-ownership clause. It just gives them the right. And they did a special tweak about 6 months ago that gave them the right, in case you tell any of your friends that you like a product in a Gmail or something like that, it gave them the right to market your endorsement of that product, even in a private comment, to your other friends and to other people, to say, hey, this guy, loves this product. So it's really kind of creepy.
What I'm concerned about, and the ease of email, and we're all accustomed to it now. We don't check mailboxes anymore physically on our house. We know that that's all junk mail. Everything happens now via email. And the ease of writing an email is what we've become so accustomed to. It's free, it's easy, it's quick, it's instant. But encrypting it and trying to hide it is a hassle. So I don't think we can get acclimated into that step. Is there an easy way to do it? I mean,
and that's really, really people don't want the hassle. And this is where, again, and just, I'm mindful of the show. And I'm really, when I talk about Scruples or DuckDuckGo or Start Page, I'm just talking about real products that are real solutions. I'm not intending to promote any company, not mine, not theirs.
Right.
But the real key is that the Internet is so young. Remember, the World Wide Web is only 25 years old. Facebook is an old company. And what we're going to see is an evolution to new products, new ways of, new ways of communicating that are going to make some of these legacy things like email will become sort of a legacy product. And these new products will make life much easier and actually make us much more connected in a real way, because the Facebook connection is not real. Everybody has to look good on Facebook. It's a false sense. Have you noticed this now? Nobody is really posting their problems. No one's really having a real conversation. It's all superficial. So companies like Scruples are bringing back real life to technology.
Hey, I've been waiting for that, to be honest with you. And the other thing, Facebook especially, it's just so fake news, clicks, trying to get somebody to click on a YouTube video, and the temptation that is there. It's not about what its original intention was. It's kind of sad. The last year, the changes in Facebook, I don't know. Can they go backwards? Can they save themselves? And do you think Facebook could ever go the way of MySpace, or are they just too entrenched?
Wow. Okay. All right, everybody. So an unknown, a little publicized study that was done by Princeton University came out now about 6 months ago. And it was done, and they did a lot of research, and they predicted that by the end of 2017, which is just 2.5 years from now, 3 years from now, that Facebook will lose 80% of their members. 80%. Now, that still leaves them with a couple 100 million members, but that'll be way down from over 1 billion. And this starts, Princeton predicted that it starts in 2015. Now, anecdotally, we know from our friends, young kids, they're really young, the 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds are looking for something different. They're creeped out by all this privacy stuff. And we also know that 20-year-olds and 50-year-olds, we're hearing every day of our friends who have actually quit Facebook, who aren't using it anymore. So, on the street, we know this is happening. So this is why Facebook, Jimmy, is also playing defense, because there's so much money. Remember your friend who said there's so much money in Silicon Valley. Facebook went public. They've raised so much money. What do? They spend it. $19 billion on WhatsApp. They bought Instagram a couple years ago. Facebook is buying companies so that when Facebook disappears, they'll still have these other companies. But these other companies get tainted by being associated with Facebook because they change their policies so that they become data vacuums also.
I would assume, I have 2 teenage daughters that could care less about Facebook and Twitter too. It's kind of strange. I've asked them, "Hey, do you follow me on Twitter?" "Dad, please. That's so passe." And I'm just like, "What?" And yeah, I definitely agree with you. I just don't see that segment of society, but what using Facebook, but what are they what is next? I mean, what's the next technological, evolutionary thing that's going to come along? Like I said, I never would have thought MySpace was going to go away. But it did. And could that happen? What would replace Facebook?
Well, first of all, here's how it happened. So, and the way the Princeton researchers looked at it, and they looked at MySpace and other companies that came and looked like they were sustainable forever, and then poof, they're gone. And they likened it to a disease modeling where a disease spreads throughout a human population. And once it's spread out and reaches its sort of zenith, its nadir, its potential, then poof, overnight it starts to die out. And this is exactly what happened to MySpace. Remember MySpace? Rupert Murdoch jumps in. Murdoch pays $650 million for it. And overnight, he bought it at its peak. And overnight, Facebook just became passé. For your daughters, it's the same thing. Facebook doesn't have the allure. When Facebook's not cool anymore, the party's over because it's not nearly as sticky as we thought it was.
Well, let's not forget AOL. I mean, AOL bought Time Warner, and when right. That was such an extraordinary move at the time. It looked like the king of the world was going to be AOL. I mean, the owner of the known universe. And that died out.
Right.
It died out pretty quickly. Man, I haven't been to AOL. Does it still exist?
AOL Mail still exists.
Yeah, I haven't thought about
AOL. They're a small company today.
Yeah, they've got to be there. You know what? After the show tonight, somebody tweet who here uses AOL Mail. I actually had somebody with an AOL address not too long ago, and I just thought, no, that's not going to work. But the mail did go through. Somebody wanted me to ask you about. I have 2 questions. One, and I've never heard of this, so I'm going to sound naive here in just a second. But what about the personal tower cloud? Can they be hacked?
Personal tower cloud. So the question is, can a personal tower cloud be hacked? And I'm thinking that this is someone who's got a tower server for data storage. So I think that's what they're asking. So if you have a tower server, and really listen, first of all, anything can be hacked. Okay, let's start with the premise of what can and what can't be hacked. The NSA, there's an organization called the RSA, which sort of sets encryption standards for the world. And the NSA actually was guiding the RSA. There's a huge scandal. For many years, the NSA was advising the RSA on what the encryption standards should be, the new encryption, the new technologies. So the NSA always had a leg up on how to crack the code. Now, if you're at a Starbucks, everybody, and you're using their Wi-Fi, and you're logging on to your private, your bank information, your broker information, wherever you're going, your Gmail, wherever you're going, if there's a hacker in the room, he can or she can easily hack and get your passwords and your URLs. So you really need to have lots of lines of defense. So if you have a personal, I think this is what our listener is asking. If you have a personal tower server, and let's say you have it in your house, and you're backing everything up that way, even the best encryption, if they can't hack it today, then they will store it. They'll grab the files, they'll store it, and they'll wait until they figure out how to crack it.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, one last quick question before I move on. I want to talk about Snowden and our friend Assange. The controversial cybersecurity bill known as CISA, advances out of the Senate committee. What can you tell us about that?
All right, so there's a lot of that's going on, right? So the cyber bill, and so CIFA. Now, is this your question, or is this coming?
No, this is coming from one of my producers, actually.
Okay. So right now I can't really speak too much to this because it looks like the houses are not going to get together on this, and there's going to be a lot of openings for the NSA, which is an important lobby of the government, et cetera. So right now, I don't have a lot of confidence that we're going to get a particularly good, strong bill that's going to protect us. I think we're going to have a lot of backdoors that are open for the NSA. I think really where we have to take this is to the Supreme Court, and I think this is what we're seeing. I think ultimately it's our court system that's going to give us back our privacy because the Fourth Amendment was written the way it is, and this is why, and it's interesting, right? Because, gun rights activists are Fourth Amendment people, and privacy people, sometimes you get interesting bedfellows together. The Fourth Amendment is there for a reason, and this is really what we have to focus on. I don't think these guys in Congress can get this right.
Did Snowden do the right thing? I'm going to start there before we get to Julian. Did he do the right thing?
It's a fascinating sort of historical question that I'm not even sure we can answer today, because I think the answer to whether Snowden did the right thing is 10 or 20 years from now, when we look back and we see what the real outcome is from what we learned from Snowden. Because clearly what we've learned from Snowden's revelations, and we're going to learn more, Glenn Greenwald, the guy that Snowden is, giving his data to, Glenn Greenwald recently came out and said, we're about to tell you more. I'm a guy who values loyalty. So, I think loyalty is really important in relationships, in companies, in life. And Snowden clearly decided that, the information that he had to share with Americans was more important than his loyalty to the commitment that he made, to the government, to the company that he was working for. So, and I think what Snowden really told us, we really have to look at. When I hear Snowden talk about privacy, I like what he says, because Snowden talks about how privacy is an important human value. And Snowden says this is why he did it, because he couldn't imagine our children growing up without privacy as an inalienable right of citizens of America, of citizens of democracy. But I still think, I haven't decided. Snowden, is he a traitor? Is he a hero? I think what's most important for all of us is to look at what he's revealed and make our decisions about how we want this country to be and act.
But don't we have to live on both sides of the fence? I mean, we have obviously security threats, and we have possible terrorists who are very, very smart. We have countries that are have thousands of coders and programmers that are trying to crack and break into our system. So we have that side, which is something to be fearful of, and I understand the fear generated of that from that. And then we have the other side where we have our basic rights that we just, we don't have to give up. So do we have to live on both sides of the fence? And the thing is with Snowden, well, exactly. With Snowden is saying that the NSA was wrong, but that we were scared into believing that had to have been going on. I don't think anybody was surprised. Do you understand what I'm saying? So now do we have to...
a lot of, first of all, what an exhausting task for law enforcement. Again, I love law enforcement. I love that we're safe. I mean, sometimes we forget in America that, the cops out there, the FBI, the judges, the juries, everybody's here. It's all us protecting us. It's all us making the greatest country in the world work, democracy at work. So, and the right to people, the Fourth Amendment didn't say, bad guys can get away with anything. No, it just says that this whole thing about you're innocent until you're proven guilty, in a court of law, and that when we suspect somebody of wrongdoing, that let's follow the right procedures so we can convict them. And, you're going to get more data. Law enforcement gets plenty of data on bad guys besides what goes on the web, and certainly on public social media, on those public channels, for sure. They can be searching. But the NSA listening to, the German Chancellor Merkel, this went way too far. This went way too far.
Well, that's where I'm going to challenge you on that. I don't mind Merkel. I don't mind. She may be having some conversations that we need to know about. What I'm not concerned about is the 60-year-old grandmother that lives across the street from me. I don't think we have issues there. And that's where I understand. I really do. Spy versus spy, Mark. That's been going on forever.
Absolutely.
So I get that. I'm cool with the head of state somewhere. Yeah, uncomfortable. Well, let's hope she wasn't saying anything too private. But I understand that type of spying. And
well, look, Jimmy, this is such a great topic, right? And I know we don't agree on everything, and that's great because we're Americans. The beautiful thing about America is that you and I could have dinner tonight with Americans who came here from Europe, from Turkey, from the Middle East, who are Muslims, who are Jews, who are Christians, who are Sufis, and we can sit at a table together and we can laugh and we will not kill each other. And even if we argue and disagree, we will do it civilly and we will live together civilly. We're the most amazing country in the world that way.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And people forget that. And the question of this is why I always say at Scruples, and like the former head of the IRS is like pleaded the fifth on this. She doesn't want to talk about it. Now, when Google has all this data on all of us, including all the sensitive data, and the government decides that they don't like a certain group or people who have a certain belief or something, that's a problem because all this data is available. And this is what our founding fathers said. They said, no, that should be private. If you're not breaking the law, the government shouldn't know anything about you.
Check this out. And you're going to think I'm joking. This just popped up on Twitter. One of our listeners, Leslie, he was the one that asked the personal cloud question, right?
Yeah.
That was, I'm looking here, and that was about 3 minutes ago. Now, just popped up on Twitter, a personal cloud ad. And he just posted the picture. I'm looking at it right here. And he goes, this is hilarious, Jimmy. I just got a personal cloud ad on Twitter. And that is efficient. You've got to love this country.
Yeah, that's right. Look, if you and I if I send a note to say, look, I got to pick up some dog food on my way home tonight. I'm going to get a PetSmart ad in 10 seconds. It happens that fast. Now, look, there's a word from when we were kids that has come back, and it's called creepy. And this has gotten too creepy.
That blows my mind. That I'm just freaked out. Now I want to get. This is my position on Snowden, and again, I love this country too, and I understand we do have to play both sides of the fence. And yes, I was shocked about what the NSA was doing, but not shocked at the same time. It's probably a lot worse than what Snowden even knows, and that we can bank on. But the bottom line is this: he can't be trusted, number one. Number two, and I do agree with you, you sign up, you take the paycheck, you take the benefits, you take the job, and you agree, then that's where it ends. if you don't like it, quit and go work somewhere else. But you just don't go and do what you did. That's all. Can we look back and say, well, okay, yeah, I'm glad he did what he did. You know what? No, I'm offended by it. And that's the truth. And that's how I feel. I don't see how Russia or China or any other country could look at him and say that that's a guy that could be trusted. And if he thinks he's secure in his position in those foreign countries, they look at him like the goofball that he is. You know, he's a turncoat and he can't be trusted. Is the information valuable? Yeah. Did he hurt the country? Maybe. Merkel? Okay, whatever. But the bottom line is, I believe in this country first.
You listen, the Merkel, whatever. I just don't believe that it's really a good decision for the NSA for our secret intelligence to be taping the private personal phone conversations of the leaders of countries that are our allies. I think we could have at least said, yeah, we don't need to do that.
Can you imagine how many heads of state? Well, we can count how many member nations in the United Nations just their heads spun around and went, what? Because look, it's one thing to spy on 300 million people or a billion people. That's a daunting number. And we obviously have the server farms that are backing up all of this data. Yeah, okay, no question about it. But it's really easy to drop a dime and record the conversations on like 190 cell phones. That's a whole nother thing. So, of course, there's probably one guy that's assigned to every one of those heads of state. I'm not thinking too far outside the box. That's listening 24/7.
Well, and if we can do it to them, of course, listen, it's a fascinating era, and this is where, good guys and bad guys are using technology. One of the challenges, there are now statistics that show that 80% of bad guys, people that are robbing your houses, committing crimes, are using social media to identify their victims, to sort of, to case, they're no longer stalking you, following you around. They're using social media to follow you around. So we have to be careful. We have to be safe. The question of Snowden, I'm right there with you. It's the same thing. It's like, this is why my answer to Snowden is always, what we have to deal with are the facts that he's revealed, because no one has disputed. The NSA certainly hasn't disputed the facts of what he's revealed, and we just have to decide, what the Fourth Amendment means in this country for its citizens.
There's one thing, and this is my twisted mind, but I swear on all that I love, I just expected Merkel. I'm serious about this too, to come back with, well, you know what? We've been recording your phone calls too, sir. And that's how I would have reacted to it, whether it was true or not. I would have come back with that. And can you imagine the reaction, the outrage from our government, how angry we would have been if the tide would have been turned? And I'm serious. I would have been diplomatic about it, but I certainly would have thrown that very publicly out there, and I expected it. I was a little let down and taken aback when she didn't, but I would have.
Well, listen, all right, now I want to just port this for a second. I love my life. I love social media, and as I said, I've started one, I've built one, and we've got this new one. By the way, that's really the next big thing. We're going to make a big announcement in 2 months. It's going to be huge. And, you'll see that as we continue to build this. People can use Scruples today. But my question to you, and Scruples we should spell for people at some point, but, where does the NSA fit into this massive underwater base you've discovered off of Malibu?
Whoa. I was just reading. Okay, say that again. And by the way, I was watching the tweets come in. I wonder how long Jimmy's going to take to segue into that.
I just did it for you.
Okay. All right. Let the record be known. Let the record be known. But actually, I just wanted to read this tweet that just came in from Subversive. He says, individual first, country last, Jimmy. Do you think you can tell? Have you traded your heroes for ghosts? And, that's an interesting way to look at it. But, No, I disagree with that. Unless it's your family, and Snowden didn't do it for his family, for his family first, but individual first, country last. Absolutely not. Man, my father served in the United States Army. He was in the Army band, by the way. It's funny when I talk about my father being in the Army. I don't even think he saw a bullet, but he played a mean trombone, and that's
yeah. And you know what? It doesn't matter. They never saw a bullet, right? My dad was an enlisted guy in the Marines, but the point is that they both served their country.
Yep.
And this is what's missing. We live in the greatest country in the world, and so many of us don't realize it. I really think we've got to send 18-year-olds out a year of service to the country. It doesn't have to be military, but we've got to get kids to see the world so they can understand how great we have it. So we stop criticizing our country and restore the luster of this great country.
Well, and you're exactly right. And I'll say this right now. American citizens have it too good, and they don't know you need to leave this country for a while. Leave this country, go live somewhere else, and then look back at the United States and realize how good you've got it. And I'm not talking about go to Monaco. I'm not talking about go live in Paris, but actually you could probably live in Paris and want to come back here quickly. But get out of the United States and take a good look back into here, and you'll figure out why everybody else around the world wants to live here. It's a pretty great place.
As corrupt as our government is, as
it's messed up as it is. That's right.
And this is life on Earth. So, I've written 4 books on greatness, as you mentioned earlier at the beginning, my Habitually Great book series. And I often like to say that life is perfect in its imperfection. So let's stop looking for perfect, and let's deal with reality. As corrupt as our state governments, as corrupt as our federal government is by money and lobbying influence, we have the best system in the world. We have the greatest country in the world, and it's up to us to make it better and to keep improving it.
So Eugene, one of our Twitter guys, he just posted, he said he's disgusted and shocked with me because I think Snowden is a traitor. Explain how this information would come to light otherwise. I don't want to know it. I don't care. What I care about is that nothing is, we don't have crazy stuff going on here. And I can walk down the streets of my city and feel, at least safe. So, yeah, no, you sign up for the gig, Eugene, and that's it. And
all right, Jimmy, I'm gonna take you to task here, okay?
Okay, take me to task.
Okay, because I like what Eugene said. Because I just don't want to feel safe, because I think that's what communist countries tried to offer their people, and that's what North Koreans try to offer their people.
Sure.
You feel safe as long as you do listen to us. We give you houses. My girlfriend's been to North Korea.
Right.
So, and it's amazing how they brainwash everybody to feel like that's where they're safe. But they're not free. And, I don't think it's okay for us to feel safe and to feel spied on at the same time. And I don't think the NSA has any business spying on me or you or anybody unless we're suspected of doing something wrong. And I think it's a waste of law enforcement resources, and it exhausts them. And it meant, we didn't identify the Boston Marathon bombers, even though one of their fathers walked into one of our embassies and told us. But we didn't have the law enforcement resources. Why? Because we're spying on everybody in the world instead of focusing law enforcement.
Yeah, but do you agree that there are certain things that you can't control when it comes to that? There's a line in the sand there. And if you can't control it and you don't know about it, is it no harm, no foul?
Well, this is where, right, like I gave the example earlier. So the IRS targets the Tea Party organizations. And if we don't know they're doing it, does that make it okay for them to do? So if the government gets all this information on who are, the Tea Party voters, and then starts a discrete campaign because they got all this information from social media, from the Google vacuum, into the NSA feed, into the political system, No, I think that we really need to look at this gross collection of data and misuse of it, the potential. And Facebook's emotional manipulation, and Facebook is curating our feed, normally anyhow, just based on marketing. So we can't even trust Facebook. When I put a post on Facebook to my friends, they're not all going to see it. It depends on Facebook's algorithm on what they think is the best post for that person to see based on how Facebook is trying to monetize them. So this has gone a little too far. So I love being safe, and it's good for us that we don't agree on everything, of course. So,
well, exactly. All I'm saying about Snowden is when you make a deal, when you take the money, you didn't have to take the job, And if you're gonna go, you're gonna sign up and you're gonna swear an oath to this country, then that's where it stays. Do we look back and say, hey, it's okay that he did that? Well, then you can't trust anybody with secrets. And there are some secrets that need to stay secret. I'm sorry about that.
Absolutely, that's right. We're not a public, human beings are not public by nature, and that's the thing that Mark Zuckerberg keeps struggling with, but now they're just this big data vacuum anyhow. But, that's why I said earlier, right, and you and I agree on this, the question of Snowden, hero or traitor, and my deep feelings, everybody who works with me knows I value loyalty more than anything.
And exactly. And I was just, and I'm going to address that specifically in a second, but another tweet just came in, and this is good. I speak North Korean dialect. I studied them. I know true tyranny. I can taste it here. Please understand it goes quick. That is why we are talking tonight. That is exactly what we're talking about. How quickly can this just get spiral out of control, and where do we draw the line, and what can we do to protect our own privacy and individual freedoms?
And that's why, I'm sorry, can I jump in one second?
Yeah, no, but that's exactly it. That's the point.
That's why we don't want to waste, well, not waste, but we don't want to, we can have a dinner time debate over Snowden, hero or traitor, but what we really want to deal with is, are we moving towards a North Korean existence where they know everything about us and where we censor ourselves everywhere, which will destroy democracy, because democracy is about the right to privacy, the right to creativity, because creative genius comes from privacy. When de Klerk met with Mandela, when Nelson Mandela was incarcerated for all those years, and de Klerk, the president of South Africa, met with Mandela for 5 years. They had meetings, private meetings, and they figured out how to end apartheid without civil war. Now, if those meetings had been public, because the public just, was able to find out about them through social media, everything, that would have never happened. There would have been a huge bloody civil war. We need privacy.
So, okay. Are you agreeing with me then?
I don't think so. I'm saying that it's not just about feeling safe on the street and not caring what the government knows about me.
Right.
It's about feeling safe on the street because we live in democracy where law enforcement protects us, and it's also about feeling safe on the street that, the sheriff's office doesn't know, what I just searched for on Google, whether it was a problem, a political issue, whatever it is, that's my private business unless I'm doing something wrong.
And how can we reel this back in? I am all for, possible terrorist activity or any kind of cyber attack on our infrastructure and who might be doing that and investigating that. I have no problems with other heads of state being, that's obvious stuff. How do we force the NSA to make the decision on who gets their data stored like that? And then that's the question. And are we too far gone and too far removed from even correcting the problem?
Well, I think, listen, so for everybody who's listening, and this is great, thanks everybody for all your tweets and everything. It's fantastic. This is really the issue of our day when we really distill it down to our democracy and who we are and what are the challenges besides, the corruption of money in politics. The NSA is not going away. And whether the Supreme Court tells the NSA what to do or not, the NSA is going to, be looking and doing what they do. It's really, so for me, I want us to be clear about what the rules and regulations are, but will I trust the NSA to follow those? Maybe not, and I don't have any control over that. But I'll trust that information, that the NSA will just keep looking to root out the terrorists. And remember, for law enforcement, they can notice some activity on the web, and usually, a bad guy is already a suspect. They know who the bad guys are. It isn't, a bad guy just doesn't talk about things on the web. Bad guys take action. We can see it. They do things that are wrong. So, we've got a laundry list of bad guys to watch and study. So we don't need, like you said, we don't need to be watching, my grandmother. It's a waste of law enforcement time to be watching you and me. It's a waste of law enforcement time. So, we've just got to get smarter about it. And also, as for all of us, we've got to protect our privacy because we do want to, protect our own thoughts, our own feelings, the wisdom. I have an article that we haven't talked about called The Wisdom of Privacy. Privacy is critical to a highly functioning democracy.
You want to take a couple phone calls?
Sure.
All right, let's open up the phone lines. 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. We'll open up the phone lines, and it's a great opportunity to talk to. The thing is, with somebody like you, and I want to talk about, can you disclose a little bit what you're going to do in 2 months? I think, that was a teaser that wasn't quite right, and I almost wish you didn't say it. But it's an opportunity for everybody out there to ask somebody that is a mover and shaker up there in Silicon Valley and what you think about privacy and other issues, too. So the phone lines are open, 323-825 up. First call just came in. Let's just grab this. I didn't take too long. Okay, turn your computer down. I can hear it in the background. Who's calling?
Dino, how you doing, Jimmy?
Oh, hey, Dino. Let me make sure that Mark, can you hear him?
I can hear everything. Hi, Dino.
Hello, Mark.
What have you got?
Okay, you me?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Well, Mark, this is a great program tonight, even greater than some others. I don't want to get too political. However, I recently, with all this information being hidden away and secreted from us, I hope we have more suggestions from Mark about how to deal with it, without being paranoid, because this is what bothers me. I know many people who are into this stuff and they go, the country's falling apart, we'll never get it back. And I want to know methods, and one of the methods I know is to be politically active, to be vigilant, and to keep complaining to your elected officials, even though some of them may not get it. But it scares me because just recently, jury duty, okay? I'm wondering whether it's gone that far, because I walked in there and I was one of the first people dismissed before I said anything. And I think it's because I listened to programs like yours and all my activism through the last few years. Is that possible?
Jimmy, Dino, I think any of that is possible right now.
Yeah. Dino, I'm right with you. I'm waiting to hear what Mark's response is.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely possible because, first of all, they are doing social media. First of all, the lawyers, in any case, are doing as much social media research on any prospective jurors. And for sure, the courts are also, remember, if you think about it, over 50% of employers are using social media to study their employees and their prospective employees. I think 80% of universities are now using social media to learn about the college, the applicants. So for sure, and there's a lot of data that we don't even know. If a data broker has 1,500 points of data on you, and by the way, this is just hard for me to imagine that there's that much data on us, but somehow there is. As I went through those statistics of what Google knows about that one guy, you could see how, okay, there's 1,500 points of data in there. So, Dino, absolutely. And it is frightening, and it has gone too far. And, the question about whether it's too late to turn back the clock. Now, listen, I'm a person who believes that we're Americans. We don't throw in the towel. We never say it's too late to turn back the clock. This is the beginning of the privacy revolution. The next 4 to 6 years, I think we're going to see it. We see it in the news every day now. We see how big it was, the last week and a half with, this revelation of Facebook manipulating, doing these emotional studies on us by changing, what we see in our posts. This is our time. This is time to stand up and be counted.
It's really weird, and I mentioned this in the intro of the show. The attraction to Facebook as a user originally was the ability to, if you had 100 friends or 500 friends or whatever, but if you did a post, it went out to all 500 or 100 or 50 of your friends, and you could stir the pot and start conversations. And it was a brilliant thing. I loved it. And getting reactions from everybody, positive, negative, but getting the conversation going was amazing. Now, I don't know who receives those questions that we send out. I don't know. I don't know what the algorithm is, but I find it completely offensive. And if there's a drawdown in Facebook, I think it's going to be because of that.
I agree. That's Facebook. It's called curating, curating your feed. So Facebook has learned, and Facebook, as we've talked about, is this incredible data monster. And they're not really serving us because we're not actually the customers. So they are. And people are really, that's another kind of creepy thing. It's like, wait a minute, I have 1,000 followers and I post to 1,000 of them, but, I talk to my friends and, nobody's seen the post. And that's because Facebook is deciding what posts you should see, what's going to get you to stay engaged with Facebook, to do things that they want from a marketing perspective. And so they're deciding. And yeah, this is wrong. This is what Scruples is for.
We're going to talk about that in a second. I will say this. What most people don't realize, and we have to look back at history, it wasn't terrorists from outside of the United States that caused most of this intrusion of privacy. It was Ted Kaczynski. And what do I mean by that? When we started in the mid-'90s, and I used to travel, I got on a plane on Monday, came back on Friday, and I did it for years on end in the music industry. That's what I did. And I realized in traveling inside of the United States that you could pretty much do whatever you want. You could pack whatever you wanted in your carry-on luggage. Nothing was ever checked. Nothing. It felt very free. And traveling was fun. And then Ted Kaczynski and these bombs and all of that fear went in. I was up in Sacramento. I'm flying back to Burbank. And this crazy thing happened. It was the first day. I had put my bags on the table, and this lady unzipped my laptop bag and said, "Start up your laptop." And I was like, "What? Don't go through my briefcase." And she freaked, right? Then she opened up my carry-on luggage and started rifling through it. And I was like, "What are you doing? You can't do that." "Yes, I can." "Sir, sit down." And that was the beginning of all of those searches. And after that day, it was like the norm at all the airports across the country. And then Kaczynski was caught, and it didn't stop. And do you understand what I'm saying? Because it was so status quo at that point, we were okay with those searches of just anybody at any time. And that was the beginning of all of this. And it didn't come from outside of the United States. It came from one of our own here. And we were okay with giving up that right. And I wasn't comfortable with it then. I'm not comfortable with it now. I'm not comfortable with taking off shoes at the airport. Like we keep saying, the 60-year-old grandmother, right? The 70-year-old grandmother.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, really, do you honestly think that is where we are at now? And this is okay? I don't find that okay.
Jimmy, it's really interesting because, the government needing to do things, is different than the conversation that we have. And also, Scruples is we're not hiding anything from the government. We don't have a data packet on our members. We don't have that's in the back door. But it's that companies, it's that today, who's threatening our privacy? It's not Ted Kaczynski and it's not the federal government. It's Facebook. It's Google. It's Yahoo. And that's the problem. I don't mind if I have to go through security at the airport. I'm sorry it happened, but I think actually we were really maybe too free for a long time there.
Right.
But I am offended when I do a search on Google, whether it's for an airline ticket or it's, my cat had lung cancer, and somehow Google decides that it's their business to know all of that and to store it and save it for the rest of my life, and to then start giving me advertisements based on it.
Our hard drives, and then we're going to talk about Scruples. Our hard drives, can you completely erase what's on a hard drive?
It's my understanding that you cannot completely erase what's on a hard drive. That really that the word erasing is a misnomer. It kind of scrambles it, but in fact the data doesn't really erase. So this is why, people, you hear these sort of espionage stories or whatever. You hear people, they erase the hard drive, but then it goes to an expert who recovers the hard drive.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, I'm not a technical expert on this, and I've never tried to erase and recover a hard drive. That's not my field of expertise.
Right.
But it's my understanding that you're not really erasing anything when you erase something on your hard drive.
This is, and I wanted to get to terms and conditions may apply, and we're already running out of time. Like I said, that was our closer for tonight. But there was, you posted one thing that I just found fascinating, and I'm going to read it here, and I want your reaction. Merriam-Webster's online dictionary defines privacy as freedom from unauthorized intrusion. The United States government defines privacy as freedom from unauthorized intrusion, except by us. What does that really mean?
That means that, this is that NSA era, that the government is deciding, right? The government is unilaterally deciding. The government's violating the Fourth Amendment. The NSA is. And unilaterally deciding when it's okay for us to have privacy and when it's not. And this is the exact antithesis of what our great democracy is founded on. And this is not for our listeners, I don't want you guys to think, but I have nothing to hide, so I don't need to worry, or why should I worry? Because privacy was never about I have nothing to hide. Privacy is about creativity. Privacy is about genius. Privacy is about human development, evolution. So privacy is also about, even revolution, because revolutionary ideas come from privately thinking about them. So I think what that comment is really saying, since I wrote it, of course, is that, we want to be able to trust what democracy and privacy are all about, and those, they're bedfellows, and that's what we're taught. We still teach kids this in school today. Communism is about secret police and spying on everything you do, so you have to censor everything you say, even inside your homes, and you don't know who you trust. And democracy is about where you're free to practice religion, free to have your opinions, free to do whatever you want inside your own home, free as long as you're a law-abiding citizen. And we're not watching, the government isn't watching, and the government doesn't care. The government is supporting the right to privacy.
Okay, tell us about Scruples.
Scruples. And it's SGROUPLES.com. Scruples.com. So this is a new kind of communication network. This is where you connect with your family, your friends, your coworkers, with everybody who's your contact. We don't think you have 1,000 friends. I don't, but I have 1,000 contacts. So we call them contacts. So you bring all your contacts over, and then you segue them into the natural groups that they are. Just like if you're out, this weekend you're going to a party, what do you want to do? Post on Facebook? Not really. You just want to share the photos with the people you're hanging out with. So you create a group at Scruples on your iPhone or your Android phone, and you just have fun sharing privately. It's not for the whole world. There's no way at Scruples to post to the whole world. That's not what we're about, and we're not watching, and there's, friends of friends aren't seeing it, and you own your content. Delete it anytime. We have a privacy bill of rights on our homepage, and the technology is fantastic because I am one of the originators of social media, and we know just what to do and how to build a great site. You can even send your pictures over to Walgreens to get them printed. If you have an Android phone, that's live now. It'll be live on iOS in a couple of weeks. So Scruples is the next generation. There's privacy mail in there. There's chat rooms, so you don't need email anymore. You can share documents, create documents with your coworkers. You can share with your classmates. You can share with your friends, your family, and your grandmother's not going to see something she shouldn't see because you're not sharing to her at the same time you're sharing with your friends.
Will somebody be able to go to Scruples and import their Facebook contacts, friends?
So you can invite. Here's what you do. At Scruples, we gave you a personal link to your account at Scruples, and we give you an easy way you can post that link right on your Facebook wall and say, hey, everybody, you want to share, my private communications are over at Scruples. Come join me at Scruples, and all your friends can click on that link, and then they make a contact request. You can approve all of them. You get to decide who are your friends, who are your contacts at Scruples. It's really easy. Post that link on Twitter, on Facebook, on your blogs, anywhere that you want. You can also invite everybody from your address books. We make it really easy for you to get your real life, populated at Scruples.
Do you encrypt?
So encryption is part of what we do, absolutely. All your critical information is encrypted, as well as we use special encryption when you're posting, and then the rest, when you're sharing with your group, and your group data is stored on our servers, that's not encrypted because there's no way to encrypt right now for 20 or 30 or 10 people coming in from different parts of the world to share a document, etc. So we're working on encryption options. Actually, this is what Snowden talked about at South by Southwest a couple of months ago in March. He said to the encryption community, he said, can you guys please come up with new encryption systems? Now, remember, if you're a bad guy, you shouldn't come to Scruples. We're not hiding you from the NSA. We just don't have anything to give them. We're not spying on you. We have no tracking cookies. So we don't have a packet of information. You own your content. This is for you and your real life to have fun and practice safe sharing.
Check this question out. I know you're reading Twitter right now. What is the business model?
My favorite question. Thank you, whoever asked that question, because we've been brainwashed by Facebook and Google and, even Twitter, LinkedIn, and Yahoo to think that they have to spy on us in order to make money. That is a bunch of baloney. If that was true, capitalism would have failed 1,000 years ago. So the fact is that our business model is to, first of all, you can store everything at Scruples. You can store all your photos, your documents. We have great storage up to 500 gigabytes. 8 gigs are free, up to 500 gigabytes, and we'll charge you for storage just like Dropbox does. We will have a new kind of advertising model that doesn't spy or track you at all, and you can have no ads for $2.99 a month. Right now, the whole site is no ads. We're going to have a really cool app store. So let's say you're a family group and you want, besides all our great standard features, you want a recipe book app or a play date scheduling app, or you're a group of friends and you want a special event app. We'll have great special features. We've got a great revenue model, and we're going to show this industry that you don't need to spy on people. If you respect people and give them things that improve their lives, you can have a very successful business.
What's the market cap right now?
The market cap? What do you mean?
What is your company worth to you?
That's a really interesting question. We haven't valued the company. We believe, if WhatsApp was worth $19 billion because they had a couple 100 million members but no revenue, that we're building a real company, a sustainable company, a company that can last and really serve people in the world that people will love, that we could be worth a lot more than that. We intend to become a public company so that we're not beholden to any investors or people who want to change us. Also, for our listeners, not only do we have a privacy bill of rights, but check out our privacy policy. Cullen Hoback has tweeted about this. Look at the last clause. It says, if we ever change our privacy policy, ever, that we will send you a notification about the changes and give you a link to delete your account if you don't like them. Facebook would be out of business if they had that.
If Facebook came to you and tried to purchase the company, what's your answer?
That's very flattering. Thank you very much. The partnership would never work because we don't converge on our philosophies about privacy. We don't see that possibility.
Everybody can be bought, Mark.
This is why we're an IPO trajectory, Jimmy.
Yeah.
So here's the great thing. Facebook tries to buy us. What do? That means they give us a valuation, right?
Right.
So that's great. So then we have a valuation. You can take that valuation to the bank. You can raise money on that valuation. You don't have to say yes to Facebook. And yeah, everybody has a price, but our price is privacy. And our price, we're here to serve people. Remember, Whole Foods reinvented what a supermarket does, and they became a public company. Now, you're not going to buy anything with high fructose corn syrup at Whole Foods. This is called conscious capitalism, doing the right thing. You can make a lot of money doing the right thing, and we're a capitalist, country, and I encourage everybody, build great companies, help society, make things better, and make a lot of money. That's what we can do.
Well, you're up against, when you look at Google and Yahoo and, Facebook too as well, you're up against large amounts of money, large amount of people, teams, lawyers, everything else. I mean, it's daunting what is in front of you, and they have every tool to stop your success. So how do you move forward?
Well, they don't have tools to stop our success because they can't change their business model. So we have a unique selling proposition. We're the only company in the world with a privacy bill of rights on our homepage. We're the only company in the world with that clause in our privacy policy. They can't do that. They'd go out of business. So we're actually a new kind of company, kind of like, Elon Musk with his great, Tesla company. He's changing the rules with electric cars. So we're the same kind of company. We're like the Whole Foods of our industry. So those guys, they can't stop us, and it's up to the public to decide, and there's room. We're not competing with Facebook. We're a new kind of communication network. We're a new kind of communication platform for your real life. That's what we are. And you can use Facebook from inside Scruples. Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, we've built over their APIs, so while you're sharing with your family and your friends, your coworkers at Scruples, if you want to post something publicly, we're not against those companies. You can post them at the same time right from Scruples, and that post will go to those companies. That content will be under their privacy policies, not ours. So keep your content inside Scruples when you want real privacy, and when you just want to really share the real life way, when you want to be your uncensored self with people you know and love in the world.
Before I let you go, like I said, this is our closer. Terms and conditions may apply. Now, before I'll let you, you can talk about the documentary, but there's one thing that you describe, and it's a nervous laugh coming from me. It's a horror film, and it's one of the best horror, and that's a nervous laugh coming from you too. I detect that. So when everybody sees terms and conditions may apply, you have to check on that box before you do your purchase, before you move forward, before you enter the site, before the form thread, whatever, it's there. You must check it. Nobody reads it. What should we be afraid of for real?
That's the problem, right? That's the horror part. These terms and conditions that we all agree to, they're oh my God, they're 20 pages, they're 30 pages, there's double speak, triple speak. Terms and conditions may apply is funny and horrifying because it's really funny. I mean, Cullen really does chase Mark Zuckerberg down Mark Zuckerberg's street, peppering him with questions about privacy. And it's really fascinating. Cullen Hoback shows how Google, totally changed their privacy policy and didn't tell anybody, and then erased it from all the archives, so they pretended they never even had the clauses that they had. It's fascinating, and it's horrifying when you look at Cullen Hoback doesn't talk about the NSA. He talks about the Internet, Facebook, Google, and company, and what they have done and gotten away with that we have really no idea about. This is eye-opening, everybody, and your jaw is going to drop when you think what we've talked about tonight has educated you. Go see Terms and Conditions May Apply. Get it from Netflix. Enjoy a dinner while you're watching it. It's fascinating. It's fun. Cullen is really, he's the Morgan Spurlock of our time. Morgan, who made, Super Size Me, or Michael Moore, who made Roger and Me, the German, the General Motors movie.
Yep.
This is really a great experience. And, Cullen, as I said, he's an advisory board member of Scruples. We met him when he screened his film in Silicon Valley, because I'm in Silicon Valley. And I want everybody to know that our investors mostly come from around this country, from New York, from Texas, from Massachusetts, from Virginia, from all around the country, from Europe, from Japan. It's people in the world who want Scruples. So that's the kind of company that we are.
I again, I have to thank you. Are you watching the tweet deck right now?
I am not. No.
Okay. You didn't let him finish about the Malibu deep underwater base. Look, if it's not your source of expertise, certainly this story has spread around, and the discovery is there. What it is, we don't know. But okay, I'll ask you direct. When you first saw the pictures, what went through your mind?
Well, of course, I always think about the myth of Atlantis, and wonder. We often wonder, what kind of civilization was here before? This time frame seems very quick. Technology moves so fast. We see in our lifetimes what an amazing experience we're having as construction technology, electronic technology. So could this have happened before? And what the heck is that thing? And Jimmy, I'm going to leave it up to you to figure that out.
I can't wait. One last crack from Eugene. Don't let him go without asking him about Malaysian MH370. I don't know if you have any comments on that, but
I have one.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
If the NSA has the ability and has, what we've learned about them, even to listen to, Merkel's conversations and to every one of our phone conversations. We've got satellites around, the Earth. Where is that plane? Somebody has to know.
With the one, I'm glad actually that we brought this up. There's the one thing that I'm really confused about, because after 9/11, we were assured by the FAA and the government that every single plane and everything involved, we would know where everything is on this planet at all times. And the pilots would be locked in the cockpit, and you can rest assured, you can fly safe, that everything, we will know what every plane is doing at any time. How can this possibly happen now, after all and the advances in technology that we've had since September 11th?
I want to start this sort of closing answer by thanking you for being on your amazing show. And this is the first time I've ever been asked about the missing Malaysian aircraft. And it is really, when we know what we know now about what they know about us, and this is really the NSA. This is governments. This isn't the Googles and Facebook spying on us, because, although Google, with the satellite company they bought, maybe there's some data that they have on this plane too. And there was, for many years there was a rumor that the CIA invested in Facebook, but I have been unable to, substantiate or not substantiate that. But where's this airplane, and how could it be that somebody doesn't know where that is? I just don't. It's just almost impossible to believe that there's not an agency, that there's not more information about this plane.
You're being too kind when you say almost. It's just impossible to believe.
It's impossible, right?
Absolutely.
It's impossible.
I got to
all
think.
those satellites watching everything, every possible thing. Come on.
Watching me right now, and you're telling me that? Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's right. Google's watching you right now.
They're watching you too, Mark. Hey, thank you.
Google's the company that went around the world and stole everybody's passwords. It wasn't the NSA; it was Google.
And then sold. And you said one thing, and I just want to make this perfectly clear. If the NSA came to you because of one of your members on Scruples, there's nothing that you can provide them. There's nothing there. No IP address. There's nothing.
So here's what we don't have. We don't have a packet. Remember the packet of information for everybody that we talked about?
Right.
I wouldn't be able to give the NSA, the packet of the 134,000 posts that you've made and the content in them. Because Google, for example, not only has all those Gmails you've ever written and your friends have written to you, but they also, organize all the data that's in them. So we have nothing because we're not tracking anything. We have nothing to hand over through the back door. Now I want to be very clear for our listeners that our terms and conditions are very, very strict. You can't violate a law. You can't stalk, harass, bully, intimidate. You can't post unlawful, harmful, obscene, pornographic. You can't impersonate somebody. You can't do anything hateful, threatening, harmful, incites violence, etc. And if we get a complaint, we reserve the right to look, to investigate, to shut you down, etc. And if law enforcement came to us with a warrant through the proper channels, then of course we would let them look. But we have nothing in our back door to hand off, and we're not looking at anything.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I was telling Jack today, you deserve a medal. You do. And you're rolling that rock uphill, and like I said, you've been waving this flag for a long time. And thank you for sharing all of this knowledge. I feel like a new guy. I feel like a new man.
That's great to be on your show, Jimmy. You're an awesome, American, and it's just thank you for the honor of being on your show.
I thank you for that and your time. Now, in 2 months, you've got another date with Destiny right here, and when you're ready to go public and talk about what this big thing is, I can't wait to hear about it.
That's great. It's very exciting. I will come back on the show. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to everybody listening and everybody who tweeted and called. And we're sorry if we didn't get you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mark. And hey, tell Jack, shout out to him. Thank you.
Amen. All right. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Mark Weinstein, Scruples. Now, go check out the site, by the way. The site it's all there. All the information is there. But for him to do what he is doing, like I said, he deserves a medal. This is Fade to Black on the Dark Matter Radio Network. I've got to take a break. I'll be back right after this. Shoot me an email. Got a bunch of email I'm going to read. Tweets at JChurchRadio. Bespoke radio for the masses. Only on the Dark Matter Radio Network. I'll be back right after this.
This is William from La Crescenta, and I listen to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Jimmy Church. My name is Alan, and I listen to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
He's always giving it to you straight.
JimmyChurchRadio.com.
On the Dark Matter Radio Network.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris.
What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio, the Revolution.
man. At JChurch Radio, hashtag DM RadioNet. I'm glad everybody tends to behave. I was watching that little dust up. At JChurch Radio is Twitter, hashtag DM RadioNet. Thank you, Mark Weinstein. And I got to tell you, it's a scary world out there, and I don't want to sound naive or anything else, especially when it comes to Snowden, and we didn't even get to Julian. And I'm not naive, okay? I get all of that, but I believe in privacy, and we've got to figure out a way to protect it, but yet keep the security there too as well. I don't know how we're going to do it. So anyway, with that, I'm going to read some emails that have come in. There's about 20. And I'm going to get to those questions now. We have a few minutes left. I'll go ahead. The phone lines are open. 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. You can also Skype in Fade to Black 14. Let's go to the bottom of the emails. Let's see here. Hi, Jimmy. I never say hi, Jimmy. Why did I read that? That just doesn't even sound right. And this is blind. Here we go. You've never definitively said what the underwater Malibu anomaly is, so I don't buy the criticism. Let me tell you something about pioneering in ufology. I've received much the same type of criticism and attacks from other researchers in ufology, and I find most of it is simply other people wishing they were the ones doing the pioneering and the discovery of another's ideas. Well, okay. All right. Well, yeah, I don't think it's about that, but certainly I think that this is a 3-hour show, and sometimes you can't just listen to the entire 3-hour show, or you miss pieces of the show, or you miss shows in general. All right. So I'll put it on that, but for her email, that's what you're referring to be so direct. Yeah, I thought somebody wasn't listening to the whole show and didn't realize that there were things about that Huffington Post article or whatever else, the ABC News or whatever else that is out there. It looks like I'm only saying one thing when I have said both things from the very, very beginning. All right, let's go to the next email. The government surveillance effort is the answer to unemployment. Yes. Oh, good stuff. Half of us will be employed to intercept and read the emails and tweets of the other half. Problem solved. I have had that dirty, polluted thought in my brain for years now. Absolutely 100% accurate. That is from Ben Miller. Ben, I wish I had something to send to you. That is absolutely priceless. Okay, Walter just tweeted. He says, where are the updated photos? Tomorrow. We've got like 20. I think we're going to post 8. Some of them are repetitive and there's no reason to post everything, but we'll get it up tomorrow. And as well as the thing is, our website is slowed down to a crawl. We went and eliminated so much on the website. And oh, by the way, let me announce this too. We will have the links up tomorrow. All of the media at jimmychurchradio.com has been moved to another site. I think it's called KJCR Radio or KJCR Fade to Black. It doesn't matter what the name of the site is. But all of the media, all of the graphics, all of the galleries, all of the images, everything is now stored on that site. So you'll just link to it through jimmychurchradio.com. We're trying to speed up the site. We took everything off of it. There's nothing there anymore. And it's still slow. We don't know what it is. And we will continue to fine tune. Okay. All right. Lou just posted poll question. Who is the worst, most threatening? What? The NSA or the East German STAS? Huh. I want to see the answers to that. Let's see. Subversive says the point of asking about MH370 is to ensure you aren't on the next one. Come on, man. Let's keep this serious. Eugene just responded to Lou, China. And I think he's right there. All right. Let me get back to this email. Let's see what this one is. Again, I'm reading blind. Jimmy, Germans felt safe with the Gestapo throwing all of the criminals and evil Jews in camps. Safe is the first step in dictatorship. Yeah, well, and that comes in from, that's from OG Brad. That's OG Brad. It's called fear. And that's the first step. I mean, with all of it, it starts with fear. You've got to control the masses with fear. And that's the bottom line with all of that. As soon as it's scary, that's when the moves are made. All right. And I think you understand what I'm saying there, Brad. Let's go to the next one. There's so many here. Let's see. Oh, this is from Jack. Oh, Jack says, thank you. We'll stay in touch. We'll get back to you in a couple of months. I wonder what this big announcement is. I mean, the service itself is extraordinary enough. What level could they take it to next? I have no idea. Dale says NSA got a forwarding page. Yes, we will announce that tomorrow, JD. Wow, man, I can't keep up with all of this. I cannot keep up with all of it. So I will say this about the show tomorrow, by the way. I spoke with Eric today, and he has assured me that I can discuss whatever I want to discuss. And with him, I hold him in such high regard. I just don't want to offend, but you know me, I probably will in some way. But a really cool guy today, and I'm really looking forward to that tomorrow. Okay, all right. That's it. I'm going to do one more break. If somebody wants to get one call in, 323-825-5045. I'll take one call. We have 5 minutes left. One call, 323-825-5045. Let's see who it's going to be. I'll be back right after this. I do have to take a break.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will. On the Dark Matter Radio Network.
He's always giving it to you straight.
JimmyChurchRadio.com. On the Dark Matter Radio Network.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
On the Dark Matter Radio Network.
Fade to black. Eugene, I keep them short. You should thank your lucky stars. I don't do 9 minutes of commercials every 15 minutes and only talk for 4. Can you imagine that? I like Clyde Lewis, and going on his show was fun, but and talking and stuff. But every 15 minutes, You barely get a thought out. You barely get the question asked, and you're taking a break, and you do that for 3 or 4 hours, and it's just so frustrating. So, yeah. But, once in a while, I do have to do things, just you got to remember it's a 3-hour show. So if I can take a 2.5-minute break when I can, I will. Hey, and I'm looking at Lynn Lewis's comment here, and I've noticed the same thing. She said it takes her iPad 30 seconds to load the page. And trust me, we are I don't know what the issue is. I don't know what it is. We're really going to start some crazy experimenting here coming up really soon. All right, call from Las Vegas coming in. Let's see who it is. All right, you're on Faded Black. Who's calling?
Hey, Jimmy, it's Rick.
Rick, how are you tonight, sir?
I'm getting over strep throat, fistful of antibiotics.
Hey, I saw these incredible pictures the other day while I got you on the line about that the lightning storm that rolled through Vegas. Did you catch any of that?
Not from Tucson. Yeah, I've been stuck in Tucson for about a month now.
Oh, this was like this is like 2-3 days ago. Oh, I saw your post about airports. So you were traveling.
Yeah. Actually, that's kind of why I'm calling in. I've been an IT professional for about 17 years now, and that's what I do now. I actually do remote support for mostly for a line of cruise ships, and we get in through satellite communication and all that other stuff. And so you can see why I had a few issues with tonight's program.
Okay. Fire away.
One of the things for the people who are wondering, you can absolutely wipe a hard drive. It's called a zero fill. One of the programs you can do that with is called BC Wipe. If you do that, FBI can't even do it. They can't even grab the information. There are companies that we've had to send drives to in the past. They've had catastrophic failures. We had one laptop get dropped into the bottom of the Amazon River. Drive Savers was able to recover the data. They could not do it after BC Wipe.
I actually used to have that program. I probably still have it around here somewhere. And I remember, I actually cleaned a couple of drives because the drive storage, it's funny, this is some kind of tech show now all of a sudden. But the drives, the drives, whatever they were, 100 gigabyte, 250 gigabyte, but they were only showing like half of that. And I was like, what do this is crazy. I keep erasing the drive, but there's no storage space left on it. So I went and got DC Wipe, completely wiped the drives out, and you're absolutely right. I got all of the data storage space back.
Yeah, because what happened is the controller board on your hard drive screwed up. So when you do just like a format, everything's just ones and zeros. So it'll just basically clip off the number on the top. That tells the operating system, this may as well be empty. You can put in whatever you want. So it's kind of half-hearted erasing. But if you really want to kill it, use something like BC Wipe, which does a zero fill.
What do you think about Mark's approach with internet privacy and social media, and his take on what is a solution for it?
The absolute best way to keep private on the internet. Do you remember the movie Tron Legacy?
Yep.
Have you seen it?
Absolutely.
Remember his thing? Remove yourself from the equation.
Yep.
That's why I didn't have a Twitter account until your show.
Yep.
I was removing myself from the equation. When I bought my first car, they printed up, I don't even know why they even bothered pulling it up, 3 blank pages.
That's
not the case for me now, but I had zero background. There are ways you can get rid of it.
Interesting. Well, but how can you do that and survive today? And I'm serious. You can't go and buy a car without credit, and so, or buy a home, or even rent a house, or for that matter, it's to get a cell phone.
Well, yeah, and that's the trick. It really comes down to what quality of life do you want to lead. You can do anything and everything cash still. I don't know anybody who'll turn down cash.
Right.
So if you don't want, and this is what you can do. Use cash. Buy yourself a burn phone from like Walmart or any of the various marts. They don't take your identification when you buy that burn phone. You pay cash for the minutes. There's no documentation for your name. The only way they'd be able to track down who you are is through a video camera, or if you use the card, you use cash.
Well, and I guess
track down who that phone belongs to.
Well, then you might as well just take the next step and go solar and go completely off the grid. And
really, it depends on how entrenched you are with the modern technological life.
Yeah,
that will determine. And that's the thing. We don't need our cell phone to live. Not really. Amazon tribes in the Amazon are not on Twitter, to my knowledge, at least.
Yeah, it's funny how we're tied to it now. At my house, our home phone is just used to open up the gates, out in front. But you don't really use that for, everything is cell phone based as far as my telephone conversations go. So
yeah, my wife and I are both on cell phones. We have a VoIP phone with the local cable company just for emergencies.
Right.
We don't even have cable TV. We just have the highest speed internet, and we go off of Hulu and Netflix, say $120, a month off of our cable bill.
Yeah, I know. I think that is the future, and I can't agree with you more. Just HDMI out of the computer straight into or smart TV and
my kid's PlayStation.
Yeah, right, and cut that umbilical cord. Well, you survived all the way to the end of the show, Rick. Thank you. and I'll talk to you tomorrow night. I got to roll credits. Everybody's going time. So,
okay, cool.
As always, take care of your throat, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Don't forget Eric Von Daniken, man. It's going to be great.
I'm looking forward to it.
You got it.
Well, take it easy.
Be safe. Take care of yourself.
Okay, man. Night.
Talk to you. All right. With that, I just got notice. I'm checking it here. Next is Spooky South Coast with your host, Tim Weisberg. I'd like to thank Mark Weinstein and Jack for tonight's show. Tomorrow, don't forget, Eric Von Daniken right here, live from Switzerland. Special thanks to Keith Rowland and Art Bell. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Komarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm and Mark D. Kovar. The announcers are Steve Harder and Mark D. Kovar. Music is by Doug Aldrich. Show intro is performed by the one and only Space Boy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Dark Matter Radio.